get lost in it sometimes. What's happening, PJ? What's happening, Sebastian? Wellness to everybody. So, my name is Eight Wind is Timeless. Uh, I am the holder of the continuous ball game of the Hero Twins. It all starts with a gentle sadness. I am your galactic daddy-o on my galactic patio from Minnesota to the universe. And tonight's commercial will be Alaskan Hazy IPA. IPA stands for Indian Pale Ale. And the history behind Indian Pale Ale was when they would take when the British would go to India, their beer would go flat. So they found out if they made the beer really hazy or really a lot of hops, they made it over hoppy, that the beer would last on the voyage. Well, a lot of people don't like the bitterness of that, so they have a fruitier one where the bitterness isn't quite too bad. So even though I'm popping a can, pop them if you got them. Smoke them if you want them. And this has a great color. And as you get into the summer and the weather gets better, you kind of want to drink a lighter beer and not necessarily the heavy beers of the winter, like the stouts and stuff. You just in the summer, if it's hot, you really want a less heavy beer. So, well, I guess the first thing I wanted to talk about was A-Rod apparently has signed a letter of intent to buy the Timberwolves. Now, part of the full arrangements is that Taylor will be a type of owner for 2 years. Another part of it is they can't move the Timberwolves or the Lynx because he bought both, which I think is included with the Target Center as well. But it looks like by all chances he's going to own the Timberwolves, which should be a good thing. Really should be a good thing. It should bring a lot more excitement. You have true sports people in here, not necessarily basketball people, but you have sport people. And so I don't know this guy's background, but as a competitor, he's going to get people in there that can, I think, do a better job of evaluating talent. And again, it's all scripted, but still, it's a way they still go about putting in the scripting together. They won tonight. The Timberwolves won tonight. And I'll say this, since they put in the new coach, the team has been more responsive on defense. I can say that. Their matching up has been a lot better. Now, I don't think I talked about this before, but it says Prior Lake bans, and this goes under who they fucking with in Prior Lake, but it says Prior Lake bans sale of flavored vaping products. The city council voted 3-1 to adopt the new ordinance. And so I think under the new ordinance, removing products from easily accessible storefronts, restricting products to 21 and years. So they're not going away. They're not going away. They just can't be seen as looking young people going there and saying, oh, that fruity stuff with nicotine really looks good. They can still get the stuff. And raising the license fee for additional education. Yeah. Restricting products to 21 and older in stores. Yeah. And so, yeah, they're taking them out, which is interesting. Well, they're not taking them out, but they're actually making them 21 year older. They're not going to make people be able to look at them. There's a thing that's kind of dated here where they told people to get off the ice. Local firefighters are battling dangerous dry conditions. A home burned down. And they're really not saying what caused the home to burn down. But as the home was burning down on the outside, it caught a couple propane tanks and they blew up on the side of the house. And this is the kind of shit they put out there. They kind of put this shit out there. And then one of our young ladies is playing Division II ball. It's kind of interesting. Again, we have the local people passing. Our cheer team is going to the Nationals, which we have a young lady that we're hoping that she goes. These frogs. Oh, okay. And they're talking about more wildlife being released. So they're not fucking with a lot of people in Prior Lake this week. I have heavy heart right now. I found out another YouTuber I followed, Ernie Schaefer, has passed this morning. Wow. Wow. I wonder how big he was. Because we've seen in the past them taking people out. So I'm sorry to hear that a fellow creator, something happened to him. Sorry to hear that. Wow, Sebastian, I'm sorry to hear that. One thing I did want to share, a couple things that I always spread health things, and this was actually a pretty good deal. And I'll say I have to really thank Macy's. I have bought almost $4,000 worth of stuff from Macy's, and I've paid only about $1,000. And this is one of the things. So I look at Macy's as a sponsor, but this is a Furex. And this isn't the high-end ones. You can pay up to $300 or $400, but this does the job. I mean, it really does. It does the job. Just kind of pop this in here, and you just turn it on. And like for my arm here, where I'll just go one direction, this is great. My daughter was doing like where my tore shoulder is. Yeah. I do my hands. Do your shoulders. It's got things for your neck, like where whatever's wrong with my knee, or my thigh, which I can't really sit straight. And, different speeds. But put the TENS unit on me, and then after the TENS unit, you put this on, and it comes with different heads, and I got this for like $37. So this is kind of for the neck. Different kind of pressures. And then this one is really a good pressure here. Like what I did is earlier, I put some capsaicin on, and then I put this, and this really goes right to where your sore part of your body is. This really can get in there good, especially with the capsaicin on. So this regularly, I've seen, like most of the time, this is about $80. I saw a similar one at Marshall's for about $50, but this is the lowest I've ever seen this thing. And it gives you little directions. So I'm not good at unboxing, Well, I actually had to go pick this up at the store. The next thing is just my own creativeness, but giving homage to these great people. And this is the IMAX phone that, the case with Ali and Joe, Thriller Manila. You can even get a shower curtain like this. There's another shirt I want to get. It's Ali and Frazier after Frazier has almost knocked him down, where Ali takes that wide step back and Joe's missing him with the hook. But this is a painter's rendition, and the shower curtain is probably dope. It's only like $50, so you can get the mugs and whatever with this. But so just some kind of new things added to my collection. And the other thing is, and this is a local company called Sunleaf, and I didn't have any essential oils. That's part of the reason why I haven't really messed with my sugar powder yet. I wanted to put some essential oils, and eucalyptus is such a there's a lot of mold just because we live near the lake. And so there's a lot of mold down here and a lot of allergies. I know my mother said she broke out allergies. I know I had to cancel my show Monday because I was having allergies, but it seems to be going on. But I love eucalyptus. And this is only, 10 millimeters. And this for this price, this was pretty good because most of it was 5 millimeters. And milliliters. And what you're getting is it's 10 milliliters of the real eucalyptus. Now, a lot of them was only 5 milliliters, and I don't know if you can see. And so it's less, you're getting a little more because it's 10 milliliters. So it's a little more of the eucalyptus, and you can get better on eBay and stuff, but just at a local place, something to work on. So Hey, Mark, thank you for joining me. Thanks. Thanks. So it's just, something that I like creative. And despite all, Ali and Frazier will forever be linked. They'll forever be linked. It's kind of no way that you think of one, and it's not hard to think of the other. And most arguably, their fight in '71 was probably the greatest fight ever. I can't really think of a fight greater than that one. Now, there's been fights with bigger crowds. I mean, when Ali fought Spinks the second time, I think that's the all-time record. It was over 100,000 people in the, I think it's called the Mercedes Dome in New Orleans. It used to be called something else, but that was I think, the biggest fight of all time. Unless Con Lewis in Yankee Stadium, there was a couple fights with Yankee Stadium in the 30s and 40s with Lewis that might have been close to that, but I think that's the biggest. You guys can look it up, but it's one of the biggest. So, and I'm gonna, this took me a minute to get here. I'll say that. Normally, stuff takes 3-4 days. This took me a couple weeks, but I have. It's like I got new insoles. I put my old insoles in another pair of my new shoes, so I have them in both my shoes. And the first couple steps, it's like swank, swank, swank. So the person that makes the molds said just put or he said I could bring them back in and he'll put a duct tape on them, because what you're having is that plastic cup of the orthotic is kind of in that new, and it's something, I think it's something with the newer shoes, because my old shoes don't do that, but it's something with the new shoes. So as I'm walking, it's going scrank, 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 scrank. So it's kind of funny. But it's, I have a TINS unit, I have an ultrasound unit, and ultrasound, I need to order some more gel, but ultrasound really will get deep. The more you put the heat against it, it will really go deep. So I do all these things. Um, Years of getting treatment from being an athlete. And so some of the things you just should do to heal yourself. And so this is some things that I do. And I try to share this because if you're the thing with going with being active, an athlete or not, just being active, it a lot of times you can get injuries being active. And anyone's been an athlete, you can get injured. It's just part of what it takes. Like I was talking last night with Tony Bridgewater. He just took a step. Wow. This computer was full and it's about to crash. Plug this sucker in. There we go. But like I was saying with Tony Bridgewater was just walking in practice. And he took a step and ruptured one of the major arteries in his legs, which it could have technically killed him. And he just took a step. He just took an odd step. The first time I hurt my knee was before my sophomore year, where I was going to start. And my best friend and I were just throwing the football in the backyard. I slipped on some grass I had just cut, and pow, just hurt my knee. Pow. I played, and I probably should have had surgery, but I played that whole season, and I got hit on it again. We was in Tennessee State, and I mentioned before, I got hit on it several times, getting by dudes, and dudes would just slam their knee, and we'd slam knees. And by the second time that happened, I had to have surgery. It got so bad for me. So, but these are just many. I think the first time I injured myself was little boy baseball. Oh no, we were just playing some neighborhood children. We had 18 players, and we were just playing baseball. I went in to slide, and I twist my ankle. And I remember my stepfather, I was still so little, he could pick me up and he put me in the back of the car. I was able to live to somebody's house, but I couldn't walk back home or ride my bike. I probably walked that day. So it just happens, just being active, it happens. And so these are just ways, because you're active, to do your own therapy, because therapy costs and therapy takes time. And so if you can get some of these tools that they have at the therapy shops, and another thing I have is even this. And this is the oddest thing to place, but the Therocane, and you can get these even made out of like rock that are crystals. But this is just great for like where my shoulder's torn back here. And this is just great for it. Now that does some of the same thing, but this is just something I can do as well. Just get in there. And what it is where it's sore, you really want to get friction and stuff. You really want to put friction to where it's sore. And so you can do both sides. You can do your feet. This is the Therocane, I think it's called Therocane. This brand is called LB Liba. LB Liba. So LIBA is probably what you'll find, but I think it's a Therocane. I think it's the proper name. So there's a lot of different things. So this is another alternative of just self-care. Just self-care. And that's what I like to teach, this self-care, because that's just, as you get older, you have to take care of your health. I mean, that's why I've treated my water with Sugarite. My information isn't anywhere near where I know now, but it was something that helped me. I know, treating my water back then on just the research I had done back then. Hey, James, thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining me. And so this is why I share it for anybody out there that ever comes across this. This is a thing that we all. I guess I didn't bring the other books. Maybe my son comes in there, I'll have him grab them. But this is just something I like to share, because treatment is something. I mean, even if your job does something, like I was talking to one person on Facebook, and she was going through the wrist and elbow problems, and I gave her a couple examples. She was needing like the braces I wear, and I was giving her some examples and stuff. And so, like when I connect with people, it's not like I be hollering at these women. I'd be like, this might help you. This might help you. It's like I have friends on Facebook that I'm like still trying to get enough people where we can have a support group that talks about being depression, because depression is real. And there might be somebody out there that doesn't have anyone to talk to, or too afraid to go see a psychiatrist. Some people may not even know how to look one up, which I know in this day and age of information, but there's still people that don't know how to do some of these things and too embarrassed to do it. Doesn't want so and so in the family to find out. So this is some things to consider. So I want to put that together as well. And again, as you know, I give my time freely to this. Now, I take the time when people email me, people message me. I normally take the time to write back. Some of y'all email me a whole lot, but that's okay. That's okay. That's all right. They feel the information is pertinent, and that's okay. That's okay. I'm just joking. Because I like having eyes all over the nation, eyes on the correct, on just things that's happening around the world. That's why I reported about the shooting here. It just makes you wonder already. They're antagonizing the people already. Now, Brooklyn Park, Brooklyn Center is fairly far from where I live. It would probably take me 45 minutes or more. I mean, I can kind of cut. Just trying to think how I would get up there the quickest. Because I think it took us 55 minutes last time we went up there, because my daughter's mother had to pick up a car up there, so I had to drive her car back down here. So I think it took us about 50 minutes. It's way north of me, but as you can see in a lot of the videos, it's a lot of Somalians that live out in those areas as well. I don't think the young man was Somalian going by the name, but it's a lot of black folks where they put them, in these certain areas, and it's because you have Brooklyn Park, and you have Brooklyn Park Center, and you have Brooklyn Park, and then you have Brooklyn Center. That's what. But the high school is a mix called Park Center, but it's Brooklyn Park and Brooklyn Center. Near a place where I used to live called Champlin. It's way north. You go through Champlin, and I think it's Brooklyn Center, and then you go into Champlin. It's way north of where I live now. So it's just the odds of it being so close. They're talking about the defense is about to start. So the prosecution is about to finish up, and the defense is going to start this Wednesday, I think. And then they're talking about the trial being over by next week. So we're talking about before May having a decision. So it's going to be very interesting these next few weeks. And so as I mentioned before, jury day, verdict day, they're anticipating 1 million people going downtown. And so I still going to try to, I know a spot where I can kind of be far away from town, rent a bike, and then go down there and do some reporting with some other people, I think, some artists and stuff I know. But I think we'll do some reporting to see, how people, I mean, even if he gets some time, how people would respond. Imagine if Chauvin gets some time and he does take the L, as some people say, and they put him up, okay, then what? And all these people come. How do you think that would work out? Hey, Crazy Sarge, thank you for joining me. So how do you think that would work out? How do you think that would look? So we'll see. We'll see what would happen. I mean, it wasn't packed when they put the Somalian cat in jail, which still is not a believable story. I mean, nowhere are you taught what he did. Not one place in the world are you taught to shoot in front of your friend's face, your partner's face. That would have made me want to shoot him. That would have been my action, to see him pull that gun in front of me. I would have shot him. That would have been my reaction. If he shot that gun, I would have just pulled my gun out and shot him in the car. I would have shot him. If he pulled that gun out like that and I saw it and I heard that gun go off, my first move would have been just to pull out my gun and shoot him. There's no way I would have thought he was shooting at someone outside the window. You're never taught that. You're never taught that under any circumstance would he be taught that. So that is very fishy. That is very fishy. Again, this is a test case. And, no disrespect to the lady, but there was no way that lady was going to make 20 million. She didn't even have a full-time job. She was working at a rec center. Now, the person that does the aerobics at the rec center, they barely make any money. They might charge people $5 a person or something like that. You're not going to make 20 million at 43 in the rest of your life. And what you're doing now, and even what her fiance, he's the one that gets left out because he didn't get any cash. Her family did. So, and if he gets off, if Chauvin gets off, what is people gonna say? What are people gonna say? People gonna be like, well, the family got 27 million. That's what people are going to say. So, I'm a beer connoisseur. I just love drinking beer. But you can't drink alcohol every day. It's just not good for you. So I have to have enough discipline to not drink beer every day. I won't drink any beer tomorrow afternoon unless I have some left. No, I'm just joking. I'm disciplined enough, though. Now, getting the munchies and eating sweet or something salty, I mean, that is just American curse, it seems like. Seems like when you have the munchies, you want something salt or something sweet. So keep a lot of fruit, and fruit is sweet. Bought some strawberries, though, and my daughter's like, I don't like the way these taste. I taste them, they taste like strawberries. But she's like, I don't like the way they taste. So. And I report my son made it back to Michigan. His school is not closed tomorrow. He said the high school is closed. So he said the high schoolers are going back to online for 2 weeks in Michigan. Big Gretch has asked everyone to volunteer, shut down for 2 weeks, all sports. And I think their sports has to be getting close to their finals. We're having finals here. I know girls just had their finals. I think boys' finals are this week, I believe. Local team lost. Hopkins had like an 8, like where that page comes from that plays the UConn. Hopkins, they had something like a 78-game winning streak. Hopkins is one of the biggest. Royce White that played at Louisville. No, Royce White played at Iowa State and played pro for a brief minute, but he went to Hopkins and won state. So Hopkins is one of our bigger basketball area schools. And they lost. After 78 games, they lost. So we'll see. It's funny. My son said something interesting. He said, you guys are handling this better. He says, you guys are more open and handling this better than how they're handling it in Michigan. It's like everybody in Michigan is afraid and they're believing what the government tells them. And this is the thing that gets me. If you look at history, right now, the hippie, the civil rights people, the hippie people, they're in their 70s. Now, these same people that was hippies and anti-government, they are now just believing the government. They didn't believe the government as young people in their 20s and 30s. They were so against government. But now these same people are believing everything the government says and gladly going to take the plunge. Hey, Nicole B., thank you for joining me. Hey, Keymancom. Man, Royce. Yeah, Royce was scared. Now, Royce is an interesting character. Royce was kicked out of DeWitt downtown, I think. He was kicked out of that high school after winning the state twice as a sophomore and a junior. That's why he transferred to Hopkins. He goes to the U. He steals the laptop. Apparently, he was a klepto. So the U put him out. He was their top recruit under Tubby Smith. And then he went to Iowa State. He was fine. Well, he goes to Houston as one of their top picks. I think he was picked out of lottery, though. I don't think he was a lottery pick. And the guy's freaking out. He can't fly. The guy is afraid to fly. And so that kind of killed his career. And then he bounced around a little bit, played over in Europe a little bit. And then we saw him on the 3-on-3, the Ice Cube's 3-on-3. And then next thing you know, he's talking about fighting MMA. He's a big guy. I think he's about 6'6", 6'7", 6'8", somewhere in there. Big guy. But the 3-on-3 let any age play. That's why McCants was young. McCants should have still been in the NBA, but he got blackballed. Sebastian, my sister just told me they're going to make us take it. Not yet. Not yet. They're far from that. Not yet. I watched a report this evening, and the report basically said that there's already immunity to the shit already without taking anything. You're already having natural antibodies fighting this shit if you're exposed to it or anything. So already there, this report says, and then they said, well, if you didn't take it, they showed that it was almost equal if you took it or if you didn't. So right now, I mean, it's they already knew the pushback. That's what you have to understand. They already knew that a lot of melanated people weren't going to be trusting the government. They already knew that. But the thing they look at is like, well, we got all of them. They're forced to wear the mask. We got the Gestapo mask people out there. And that's what people became. They became Gestapo-like tactics. And they predicted all this, the Karens, the Beckys, and all this stuff. They predicted this, that people would tell on each other. Because remember last summer, people was calling, it was like, they were such fearful that they're calling too many people are at the park hanging out. I mean, that is how programmed in a short amount of time. This was one of the greatest psyops in the short amount of time. This psyop was very quick. Within 6 weeks, everybody was wearing masks or telling on you. Everybody was telling on you if too many people was outside for too long. They was telling on you if there's too many cars in front of your house. And these tactics come from the Gestapo, where you tell on your neighbors. And that's what they counted on. And that is the climate they put out there. They put that energy out there. Subtle hints in shows, subtle hints in commercials. Hey, James, what's happening? I am smooth. I hope you smooth. I hope everybody's smooth. They're saying folks who took it are still catching it. That's right. That's what they're saying. There was a chick on Facebook that put a bunch of stuff saying, how she took the plunge and there she is. There she is. She is all, she didn't anticipate being where she's at, that she still would come down with it. So plunge is hard to predict. And so, that's what we're seeing. We're seeing that because they can't hide it. They wish they could hide that, but they can't hide that. And so these, the sad thing is we live in very, very sinister times. And we don't really have people that are for us. The people are tricked all over and over again. I mean, it's like, how often are you guys going to get tricked by this same attempt? So, and I blow big stacks. Little mad, my other pen that I only had for 2 months killed on me. I paid $100 for that damn thing and it died on me. It won't take a charge. And I remember looking up the reviews on it. I read one person said, my unit quit taking a charge. What do I do? Well, you're out of money. So keep it natural. There you go. There you go. Keep it natural. Yeah. Eat as much. I tell you, watch Ancestral Production put out a really beautiful thing of a sister talking about melanin and how melanin is inside of our bodies. Actually, there's an expensive book on the internet talks about how melanin is a universal substance. You can find it everywhere in the universe. There's even hints of some of the black holes having melanin in them. And so she was saying how you look in your cells, you have melanin in your cells. And so it was an interesting topic. But Ancestral Production, his latest show. And he's a brother that's a Pan-African, but he puts out a lot of interesting information. And that's what I like, because he shows that the Jewish faith people, the how do I want to put this? He proves that all of the Torah and all those things came out of Africa. He proves that information came out of Africa. And we know the Ashkenazis copied this stuff. Again, they had Catholics on one side, Muslims on the other, so they decided to steal someone else's information. Now, I don't disagree with him. I don't believe in any of this DNA shit, that they can find DNA and you're related. All that shit's bullshit. All that shit is unreliable and it's bullshit. It's agenda-driven shit about DNA. It's agenda-driven. That's the same thing with Clyde Winters. Well, they found, DNA from where the African was in America. Get out of here with that bullshit. That's some made up shit. It's made up. It's made up with agenda backed. So keep that in mind. But he proves that the information comes out. He proves that the Hebrew language comes out of Africa. And so those of you that interests, he's got it. He's got it. And even though I don't agree with everything, I think his heart is in the right place. And he proves his point about it being an African religion. And that's what I love. That helps my case on what's African and what's American. That helps my case. That's why I favor his work. Because he's one of the few that tries to pin it all together. Not that they travel to America and not any of that. He shows where this stuff comes from. So he pins it all together. So I like his work for that. I made some notes the other day and I still don't understand. Let me see. I think I got my points. Yeah, A-Rod. Yeah, that was I think I'll just let those wait. Timberwolves, I mentioned Timberwolves won tonight, so it was a good outing for them. Twins lost after being up 6-0. So you can see how they fix games. You're up 6-0 and you lose. A pitcher cannot throw home runs. Pitcher can throw home runs when he wants to throw home runs, but a pitcher cannot throw home runs. You can throw foul balls all day. And these guys that give up this run, a guy gave up a 3-run home run in extra innings. How does that happen? It's not by accident. Hey, Target Strong. Hey, King Kane. Thank you for joining me. So these are things that you have to realize that it's interesting to watch. I don't know why I haven't been seeing Wild games, though. I know they've been playing, but I haven't caught any of the games lately. I caught Philadelphia and Boston earlier, but I'm not sure why. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe they're not playing home games, but just they haven't been showing a lot of Wild games. They have been showing the Twins, and every Sunday. I know the Timberwolves play every Sunday because during the NFL season, when the NBA starts, it'll be either depending on who plays on the NFL, or I'll watch the Timberwolves on Sundays. So that's kind of a thing that still goes on. And I started off with with A-Rod buying the Timberwolves, or eventually he's going to buy them. Taylor's still going to have a partnership for about 2 years, but after that he's supposed to take it over. And remember, this guy was given, what was he given, $500 million as a player at one point. Daddy Bush gave him that money in a state that didn't have any state income tax, only federal. So he got to keep a lot of that. Whose dunk was better, Miles Bridges or Ant-Man's? I don't know, Tiger Strong. Whose dunk was better, Miles Bridges or Ant-Man? I don't know. I missed those. I didn't see Miles Bridges dunk. What's his name? Okay, I'll say this. Tonight, Levine had a dunk on Kobe Bryant tonight. I call what's his name, Kobe Bryant, but Levine dunked on him. And when one of them was taking the ball out or something, he's like, you could read his lips. He's like, "Why did you have to posterize me?" That's what he said to him. He's like, "Why did you have to posterize me?" And it was one of those. I mean, Levine cocked it, got by him, and just cocked it back and rolled. So that's the best dunk I saw today was Levine's dunk. Levine had 50 the other day and then 30. Okay, you like Miles Bridges was dope. Bridges plays for Charlotte, right? I didn't see that. I don't know. I missed if it was the NBA game on earlier. I missed that game. I don't know. I couldn't catch it. I missed it. So I didn't see that today. So I have to look at the highlights. But I saw Levine's dunk. I definitely saw. I was watching the game when he did that. That was nice the way he got up on it. Josh Okogie, otherwise known as Kobe Bryant's clone. I tell you, they're pushing next season. They're like, next season's going to be fully everybody going in. And it's no way they're going to say who's vaccinated or not, because it's going to be a lot of unvaccinated people with this. So they're going to let it, it's going back. Hornets versus the Hawks. Okay, I didn't see that one. I didn't see that game. NFL soft, Tom Brady still playing at 43. Well, it's scripted. When you're scripted, they let you do that. The other dudes that was playing in their 40s was kickers. George Blanda was a backup quarterback, but mostly a kicker. And he played 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s. Now I believe Brady has equaled that, playing in 4 different decades. But Brady didn't play in 2 different leagues. George Blanda started with Chicago Bears, ended up in 1960 going to the new league, the AFL, and then by the time the leagues merged, he was still with them. So he started with the NFL, went to the AFL, then back to the NFL. He's, I think, the only player that might have done that. George Blanda. He was one of them straight kickers with the square shoes. The kickers that kicked in my day had the shoe was square to meet the ball. The old type, before the young people started soccer style kicking. Knew that was going to happen. My damn cat's in there climbing on my stuff. Before, when I was in college, our kicker wasn't a soccer style kicker. They still recruited straight up kickers. Of course it will go back. Maurice Robinson says, of course it will go back to normal. The NBA are losing too much money. That was another thing with A-Rod that they was looking at with A-Rod. Why A-Rod bought now, why he tried to buy the Mets last year. But he won't take such a loss. And matter of fact, I think they said the NBA might even throw some money in the deal to make sure. Definitely will go back to normal. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. They want this money. All of them, even the stores and everyone. They crushed the little stores they were looking to crush. that if you look at how business was done, they crushed the little stores they were looking to crush. And so now things, and if you look at shopping, I mean, that never really went away. Not really, not really. But they made Amazon richer. So Walmart, Amazon made them richer because at one point they were the only games in town. So Maurice Robertson. I have a cousin named Maurice Robertson. He's related to the Macons. He's related to the Macons. But yeah, that's so I never went away. And now, with the Mall of America back in full swing and all the malls, all the we have a amusement park not far from me, like 10, 15 minutes. And the people that had passes from last summer still get to use them. And Antone, thank you for joining me. Okay. My brother lives in Atlanta and my uncle. My uncle put a picture of himself on Facebook today, him getting the plunge. And he's ecstatic because he thinks he can travel again. Like, you could have traveled anyway, buddy. You didn't need that to travel. But to each his own, To each his own. And I mean, it's a lot of people that just are programmed. There's no way to get around that. So many people in our society are just programmed. And it wastes your time on it. ATL too. Okay. Kim and Cam. Okay. ATL. Okay. Yeah, I got family down there, and that's not far from Greensboro. When I lived in Greensboro, we used to shoot down there all the time. It's about a 4 or 5 hour drive from Greensboro. Many people are getting it. Well, this is what they said. They said up here that we have a massive, like our fair. When our fair goes on, it's a massive thing where they make millions every day on this fair. Like just in ticket sales, they bring in millions daily. And now they're opening that area, and it's a big area. It's a fairly big area. And now they say it's going to be open to go drive up. I mean, to drive up, you drive up, and they serve you just like a drive-in, except you get the major drug. They keep trying to push it. Oh yeah, they do. Yeah, it's funny how. Oh, you have family in Detroit. Okay, Maurice. Yeah, it's a lot of Macons. It's Maurice Robertson that's related to some of the Macons. I got family in Detroit. Well, my brother lives in Lansing, so he ain't too far. But I still got family and friends in Detroit too. But yeah, they keep trying to push that. But to me, I only want to go to South America. And them poor countries ain't gonna make you have it. They ain't gonna, especially the territories like the Virgin Islands, the American territories, you ain't gonna need that to travel. You don't need it now. You can travel on the plane now. The plane's been open. The airplane lobby was one of the first that they bent to. They was like, hey, they wasn't supposed to have people sitting in the middle, and what we seeing people sitting in the middle. So they was like, help us bring this dough back. Matter of fact, if you watch the money and all the futures, they was just saying how that type of business is going to go back on the rise. Cruises, planes. Because the planes was hit. Where some of them, they didn't think without help, they wasn't going to come back. I mean, we watched this before. We watched how W destroyed the car industry. I mean, he really, like when Obama had to bail them cars out, that was because of what W did. W put that, helping his gas people make all this money, and it killed SUVs. I mean, it killed SUVs. You guys remember in 2008. But how people got them back is people started riding public transportation. Because this area, public transportation would take you damn near anywhere. They're about to bring the train out here. They're about to build a train that goes all the way to St. Cloud, which is about an hour and a half from me. And eventually they're going to put a train all the way to Duluth, which is about a 3-hour car drive. It's a long damn drive to go up there and be cold. Lake Superior is horrible. It's a lake where you never swim. It's just too damn cold. I'm with you about South America. Yeah, I want to go see some of the pyramids. Did you talk about the Cuddy thing? Yeah, I shared that last night. Yeah, I talked about Antoine. I talked about that last night. Would you call this the Great Depression? Somewhat, somewhat. John Jims, hey, bro, are you African descent? If so, are you also European? No, my people are American. I don't have any family that ever came out of Africa. My people were East Coast Indians in the Boston area, is where my mother's family came out. My father's family were in Virginia. So we are woodland on that side. But now, it would have been my mother's father. His grandfather married an Irish woman. So, and they killed him. They killed him for marrying an Irish woman. So that is where my complexion comes from. Somewhat. Somewhat, yeah. So, yeah. Hey, Mr. T Gaming. How are you? Thank you for joining me. And John Jims, thank you for joining me too. They put out some statistics saying 1 out of 4 Americans are vaccinated. I said to myself, good, all the reason for me not to get it. Yeah, it's yeah, it was like that too. It was pretty much similar numbers here. And then they're panicking. Well, we are having the 5th biggest breakout. Michigan is the 1st biggest breakout. And they're about to lock Michigan down again as the weather gets. They're about, that woman is full of power. Power has gotten to her head. They turned her down. They put Sister Girl in instead of her because she wouldn't have, I don't think, brought Slow Joe over the top or fallen up the stairs Joe over the top. Sister Girl helped with that. And then they're saying Sister Girl ain't been down to the border yet. Falling up the stairs Joe or Sister Girl ain't been to the border. Why? Why haven't they been to the border yet? She's supposed to be on top of that. And we just seeing these children put at the border. That's not accident. That's using these children as whatever. When you see 2 people just throw children over the fence and drop them. Now, what Uncle Imbecile did, he kept everybody in Mexico. That's what Uncle Imbecile did. He kept them all in Mexico. Wouldn't even let them come in. But falling up the stairs, Joe said, and that meant that bring these children in here. Now, why? Don't you know they're getting paid to bring these children here? I don't know if people are talking about that. They are getting paid to bring these children here because it's all in on these children and what they do to young children. It's all in. That is what it's about. Why is the surge of children coming? Like I already exposed the girl talking about a child walked 1,000 miles. It's no way. There's no way someone my daughter's age could walk 1,000 miles. No way. I want to answer his question though. Yeah, I did. I watched the thing about Kid Cudi. I talked about that last night. I don't get the thing about Kirk Vaughn. No, that dude is showing everyone, and he's encouraging others to start taking that look. I was telling my friend, she was like talking about Will Smith. I'm like, remember what Will Smith did to his son? His son was wearing some Versace dress or some shit like that. Remember, he wore a Versace dress. So last night, that's what we saw. We saw the price. And they tried to be sneaky about it too. They tried to be sneaky by putting it in the second performance. Because normally people don't pay attention. Unless it's one singer that you really like, most people don't pay attention. That's why he didn't do it in the first performance. It would have had more impact on the first performance. Because think about if he did it on the first performance. And people would have been tuning in to see if he was going to wear something else. But by him doing it in the second performance, he felt it was going to be exposed the least. And as soon as I saw it, I threw it out there. And I know others came in a little later, but I put it out there. Yeah, it's all definitely on purpose for the kids. But what are they for? I mean, sex trafficking, organ harvesting. Yeah, sex trafficking, organ harvesting, all that. Yeah, and that's been America's way. I mean, this is the first thing the Spanish did. Was they took women and children from America to Spain. These were the first type of slaves they were taking. Easier. They didn't like, this thing of African and bringing over the dudes. When they first started bringing women from Africa, what was happening? Them women couldn't have children. They couldn't have children. They were the first few people they brought from Africa into the Americas, women couldn't have children. So for a long time, they stopped bringing women. But they found out when they took American women and children there, they could have children, and they made better slaves. And so this has never been, they've never stopped that. And this is all through the Catholic Church. That has never been stopped. Since they came over here in 1490, they have always harvested women and children from the South Americas and the islands. This hasn't stopped. And the Catholic Church has had their hand in this since that time. They were sterile. Now, it wasn't that they were sterile, but they couldn't have children. They were so traumatized by being taken that it was like generations of them they found out couldn't have children. So they wasn't sterile. They were still traumatized. And being so traumatized, none of the women could have children. That's in the other slavery. The other slavery. If he could have wore a tee with Kurt in the dress. Greg says he could have wore a t-shirt with Kurt. Japanese dude wins the Masters, right? Now, see, that's, yep. Soap man, Woo 7. Yes, you are absolutely right. Anybody can see through that. The agenda there. That is nothing but agenda of what's going on tonight. That is nothing but agenda of what's going on. That's why he won. Doesn't matter what part of Asia he's from, he's Asian. And that's all agenda. No, Antoine. Yeah, they weren't sterile. But yeah, that's all agenda. That is all agenda. And when I saw him in the lead yesterday, that was my first thought. I'm like, this is what they're doing. Yep. What do you feel about his next for melanated people? Well, I mean, this is the thing. It is never done. I mean, we got this Floyd stuff going on. And remember the response before. Now, the world is a little more prepared to react and won't be caught off balance. But we have so many more people that, and I hate to say asleep, but that's what it is. We have half a world of people. You said melanated. Think about it like this. If you take 5 melanated people, 4 of them are more than likely asleep. Like he gave whoever gave this stat of 1 out of 4. You take 4 melanated people, I'll just say one out of the 4 would be awake. The rest of them would be brainwashed. I mean, how many in your own home or you got relatives that are pretty much brainwashed to this system? Even as much research as my brother and I do, my mother is still a slave to this system when it comes to it. And we argue, and she defends liberalism, and she hates when I tell her that liberalism does not come from capitalism, as they try to lie. Liberalism comes from conversos. Liberalism comes from the 1490s, from conversos who were forced either under Inquisition to get your ass out of Spain, or you stay being a converso Christian. And this liberalism is the term they use to rationalize them stopping the Jewish faith and becoming Christians. That is where the term liberalism started. That is what they define them. They define themselves as liberals because they quit one religion and took on the other religion. And so, when I tell her stuff, you've been tuning in a lot recently. Love from us. Well, thank you. That is very kind words. Just about all of them brainwashed in my family. Yeah, Rocky. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing the people that really still watch television and believe everything they hear. They believe everything they hear. They really do. Like I know a group of older women. Few are my age. Most of them are a little older. All of them have the shot, but 1 or 2. All of them have the shot, about 1 or 2. Matter of fact, another one had the plunge, and she still got sick. And she was around all these other people. was like my son had just left that got it. My son was saying that I don't care because I've got the plunge, so I'm good. I can be around anyone. That's their attitude. That they can go anywhere now. They can do anything. My uncle is a world traveler, and that's what he was saying. Despite the fact that people were still world traveling. But he was one of them dudes. Like he was one of them dudes where he wasn't even handing out candy. He lives in Atlanta. And he wasn't even handing out candy. He put candy for Halloween like out on the steep. He's not interacting. He is really staying away from people. I mean, this is the mentality. My own father and my stepmother, they're like that. They're staying away from people because they believe what they're seeing on television. And my father was very, well, my father worked for the state at one point. So he was kind of a double agent in a lot of ways, but that was just who he was. My parents both had the 19, but took the jab anyway. But they took after. Wow. PJ says, how do you break free from this? Let me see. It's about just about all my family. Okay. How do you break free from it? I find it so hard since we all need money for food and accept. Yeah. I'll answer your question first. So I'll answer your question. How do you break free? That's why I call this the research community, because you research and you just keep researching. This is the one thing is we are under the all is revealed. There ain't no secrets. So all this stuff is put out there. You just got to study to find it is put out there. Like I was saying about Dr. Winters and DNA and stuff. If you keep searching, you find out they even know it's bullshit. That's the thing. It's all is revealed. This is the information era. That's the word I was looking for. We are under the information era. So in the information era, everything is revealed. You just have to find it. So you can find all these things that it's and I'll say this about Gematria with Zach. Zach shows a rhythm that you can show that almost all the big headlines are bullshit. That's one thing that he points out. And if you look at all stories like that, you don't even got to do the gematria. You know it's just bullshit. All this stuff, if all the news is catching on and spreading it, it is not. It's bullshit. Ooh, the rush of tobacco is interesting for a person that really never smoked. It's interesting when the tobacco kicks in, when the nicotine kicks in. It's quite an interesting feeling for me. So they don't want the people to interact with each other. No. We are just sitting across and next to someone. Our energies are already seeing if they mix or not. Your energies already mix with each other, just being across from each other. And then when you hug a person, you just kind of both get an explosion of energy. Hey, can you help me out? Hey, what? Come here for a second. Damn. All right. What? I need you to run the cat out of the closet. If you don't mind. Just run her out. She's on the top.
She's right there.
What? Well, can you shut it?
Is there a cat in here?
I don't think so. They stuck. And grab my books right there.
Damn.
Kalamazoo Central. Let's go, Kalamazoo Central.
Jeez, dude.
Thank you.
Oh, take him.
Okay.
Here, take him.
You sprain my thumb, I'm going to shoot you in your leg. No. How are you going to like that? Why people watch the news, it only shows negativity most of the time. Yeah, Brandon, it does. I knew that before I got on my path to enlightenment. Good for you. When I talk to my family, just some people in general, they listen to you but aren't hearing it, scared to hear the truth. Then don't waste your time. Hey, Brandon, go crazy. Thank you. Another Brandon. Yeah, I am on cloud 10 right now. I can't lie. Well, that's good. What happened? Can you feel the energy in the room when you walk into, when you are in front of somebody? Can you feel the energy in the room when you walk into, when you are with someone? Wow. How can I answer that? Like, I'll try to answer. I'll take a whole story. Like what I used to, I grew up in Pentecostal churches. Like part of my mother's family was Catholics. So we would go to the Catholic church sometime, more my aunt than my mother. But my aunt, I would be with my aunt all the time. So she would take me to the Catholic church. But on my father's side, they were all Pentecostal. And even when my stepfather, same thing, his family was Pentecostal. But what I was able to see is, how do I want to answer this? Okay. So I was able to see the difference between actually energy going into people. I could see when these people had real energy, and I could tell the difference between the people faking. Because some people would get happy just for attention. You know, you could almost count what time she was going to fall out, like 5. But we would do bets who would fall out first. And I would win because I just noticed when I was like, yeah, this lady ain't got it. She doesn't have it. She just getting attention. But I could see energy coming into people. As I got older and more in tune, I could really see the negative and even wicked. I could see that. I could see people that were like just was devoid of any good. And I met some clans dudes down when I worked in North Carolina. That was the real deal clans. And I could see that lack of compassion in them. So so when I go in a room, it ain't even just a room. When I go places, I can feel what energy is driving, like a given place. Like I can go in the store and pretty much see the energy of everybody in the store. Like I was saying about a month ago, I was moving around and everybody was moving in slow motion around me. And it caught me so off guard because I'm doing my regular thing. And then I'm like paying attention and everyone's moving slow around me. And I mean, really slow motion. It's like where I had to like, oh, okay, this is what's going on. I don't know what happened or what made things like that, but it was like, oh, why is everybody in slow motion? It really caught me off guard. So I'm pretty in tune to the movement of people. Like even I can be in a big field, we have a big outdoor concert. And I saw a dude that I think was a warlock because I was wearing both the motovites. I had like I used to wear a big piece before it broke off this piece of silver. And I didn't want to lose it, so I didn't glue it back on. But he like looked at me like, why do you have so much energy? How do you know about those things? So, but yes, James, I can feel it. I can feel it. I can feel it. Like, I remember my daughter's mother and I broke up. It was like, I went to her, I was like, what's going on with you? I'm like, you're a little different. I'm feeling something a little different. And then we go to counseling and I'm telling her, I'm counseling her and the counselor. It's okay. Tell how you feel. You think they're using porn over a sexualized society of a certain agenda? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I talked about that. What in 1982 or 83, I had the Playboy channel. You had to pay extra to get the Playboy channel. And it showed dry humping, soft porn. Now that very same soft porn, was that 50 years later? There's a cat got stuck in the closet. There, that's what he gets. That's what he gets for being in there. He better go to sleep. He pees on my stuff. He's gonna be living outside. But so what was soft porn 50 years ago is now the same thing on television. You can hump people on television. And we know in this society, television how many people really program their TVs for children not to watch it? I think in the early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s, that was a big thing where you could program your cable and children couldn't watch it. Not now. I don't know anybody that does that now. So all that programming, when the parents go somewhere and the children just watching TV, they can watch that shit. So they've absolutely did it, but it's a way of corrupting people. Again, I've talked about porn and the divine feminine. The divine feminine was so forgotten that in the beginning she popularized. She wanted porn because she wanted people. Because she looked at it in the beginning as a way for her expression to come out. Because the divine feminine is freaky and all that. And that comes from her. And in the beginning, she wanted all that. She loved the porn, but she didn't love what it turned into. She didn't love what it turned into. It turned into more than she even thought. And so that's some shame she has to take on. Because at first she thought it was her expression coming back. But it's something that, wow. They definitely use it. I'll be conflicted. Had to chill, was getting too engulfed in it. I be conflicted with Zach. I always saw numbers different as a child. My favorite number, but it's associated. Zach go lead you down the road of truth and lie. Well, my disagreement is again, he protects the Jewish faith. He tries to blame everything on the Jesuits, and the Jesuits work for the Jewish faith people because the Vatican is full of Jewish faith people. That's all who run the Vatican is Jewish faith people. Again, they're conversos. So Zach's my man, I mean, he has a point, but again, when you have a slant, can't have a slant. Can't have a slant. And for him, that's his slant. He is slanted to Jesuits and not to Jewish faith people. That makes me wonder. And I'll tell him that shit next or Wednesday. I'll call in. I just don't call in because I got this and I don't want to take the place for somebody that doesn't do this. So that's why I don't call. It's not that I don't support the brother, and he's cool. Not to mention TikTok, where soft porn is very well. OnlyFans. Look at OnlyFans. Look at all the people that are getting rich on OnlyFans. And TikTok, this is the thing. How many people paying attention to the people on TikTok that have been killed? Anybody? Anybody paying attention or know the numbers on people on TikTok that have big numbers that's been killed, sacrificed? And I said this a couple nights ago, is they ain't even giving you 15 minutes of fame. You getting 3 to 5 minutes sometimes. I mean, I worry about my man Moray. Moray got 20 million views. So it doesn't matter if his song goes to number one. He cracked the top 100. They're playing this song on the radio. So 20 million views, that's a couple $100,000. That young man has got damn near a couple $100,000 on 20 million views, if not more. So rapping is a deadly business. And when you do that kind of success, they want to make you pay for it. Even though you ain't signed to a record deal or anything, you have a platform, which this is. And as the brother just said, he knew somebody that did this past already. They've been knocking mugs off on YouTube. When young, I found my parents had the R. Kelly tape, and I watched it when they went to the casino. I don't know if y'all saw this, but it wasn't just Dave Chappelle. Some people put that together. That's where Dave Chappelle copied. I saw a copy where he pees on her, but someone put a tape on it like what Dave Chappelle did, was show it going back and forth, and peeing and coming back, peeing and coming back. Someone did a tape on that before Chappelle did it. I saw that. That shit was funny as hell the way they did it. Kids be in all these apps. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Who is DMX a sacrifice for? I would still put him under Jay-Z. I would still put him under Jay-Z. If you looked at how Jay-Z took off, now Jay-Z, let's remember, DMX had some major movies. When has Jay-Z ever had major movies? Never. Jay-Z's not a very handsome man. That's why he ain't been in the movies big. That's why he did them Dame Dash movies. He's not a very handsome man. So I think he knows himself. So why put yourself out there if you ain't a very handsome man? DMX is a younger man, even though he smoked crack. That's still the funniest shit in the world. When he said he had to tell his woman that he did crack. And his woman says, not crack. Oh, that shit had me laughing for about a year. But anyway, so I would still say that's under Jay-Z. He died under Lil Nas birthday. Yeah. Wow. Really, TikTokers getting wasted. I think we need to look at that. I think we need to look at that. Damn, didn't know about the TikTokers. TikTok, the world is ending. Tiger Strong, what's happening? That's funny. But I don't think anybody's keeping track. I mean, it wasn't for my man. I think his name is Jason. Yeah, Jason. And I forget what his channel is. But if it wasn't for him putting a list of the rappers, who would know that 103 rappers got killed last year? No one would know that. And I remember the last time I heard him on Zach's, he was saying maybe 50 have gotten killed already this year. So DMX would go into that number of rappers dying this year. And some of these cats only had like local hits. That's why, I put some protective arrows around Brother Moray, because we don't want to see him sacrifice because he hit the right vibration. Because that's what happens sometimes. That Superman shit that there was a hit was put out something like that, and then just blew up across the country. And they can't wait to get you under their wing, to put you in the business. He said the last song, Can't Believe It's Time. Yep. That his song, Can't Believe It's Time. Yes, he did. Yep. Can't believe it. Yes. You seen Jay-Z bought DMX music? Yeah, I think so. Paid his debt of $2 million. Okay. Conscious X said Lil Nas is Michael Rainey Jr. Wow. Wow. Look how Diddy did Black Rob. Exactly. I mean, Black Rob, he hit him where Black Rob was breaking into places. This man had a hit and he's still breaking into places. And I could see, you know, if you was a hustler and you kept hustling, but he was a break-in dude and he was so poor he had to keep breaking into places. So very unfortunate. Let me see how. Okay. Give me 10 seconds, 15 seconds to let this cat out. I don't want this cat peeing on my shoes. Oh, the stretch. Get your ass up out of there. Get out of there. Maybe he wasn't in there. I think he is in there. Maybe he's not in there. I left the door open just in case. Thank you. Look how Diddy. What you reckon on Kanye West? I feel someday he's trying to break free and expose some shit. I don't know. He put his mama out there, and they took advantage of her vainness. You know, his mother was vain, and so they took advantage of her vainness to sacrifice her. So, he got with them witches, that covenant. He played his part. You know, however they got the children, she only had one of them. Naturally, the rest of them, somebody else carried them. That ain't some witchcraft. Just take our skeet and you have the baby. You get big. Look how Fat Joe did Big Pun. Yeah, and they were supposed to be brothers. Big Pun and Fat Joe, I think, were brothers. Krispy Kreme donuts and milkshakers got Big Pun. Well, Ethan, I'm going to be honest. Okay. Now he's trying to get out. What happened to him when I opened the door? Oh, I had to fart anyway. Bring your ass up out of there. Kick you in your ass, cat. Y'all just saw me kick a cat's ass. Get your ass up out of there. Oh, but Krispy Kremes, I mean, when I was hungry at A&T, and you could get, I think it was for 50 cents, you could get a Baker 13 donuts. Yeah, but I think you're right. Hey, Jeffrey, what's happening? Your state is a test area. Oh, definitely a test area. That's the excuse. Got Big Pun. Yep, that is the excuse. Ethan, you can go get a donut for a year if you take the medicine. That's right. Wasn't they putting you through the donut machine? I didn't get that. Was they putting cream on you? Like when you went through I saw some lady like riding she was on the damn turn thing and the conveyor belt, and I couldn't tell if that was just flap doors or that actually the donut sauce coming on you, you know, the cream sauce coming on you. I couldn't tell. Seemed like that shit would be hot. Antoine, did they try to send the Prince Charles dude with DMX Porto? Did they try to send the Prince Charles dude with the DMX Porto? I don't think I don't think they would have used that for him. I don't think so. I don't think they'd have used that. They did the numbers. That dude probably been dead, and they was waiting to do it. Was it yesterday, the day before? So I think they was just waiting on him to get the numbers right. I don't see that they would want to use that energy. So I would say no. Krispy Kreme is a Masonic organization. Most are Tiger Strong. No thanks. I worked at Krispy Kreme before college. Oh, okay. But when you starving, I used to be starving. Like we would eat, and we didn't have athletic dorm, and dinner was it. And if you didn't have any bread, oh my goodness, I would just hate to see. I'd be fucking starving and see a Burger King commercial with a big ass juicy looking Whopper at 1 a.m. when I'm starving. Yeah, and didn't have any bread. Yeah, that's why I hustled in college too. sold bags out of little vanilla envelopes of weed. These people are going to harder now because their spells and bullshit are not wearing off. A lot of that, I would agree, Jeffrey. They do seem to be. They're not even hiding. No, they don't hide it. I mean, like I was talking about all these children. It's like they stopped dropping. They wasn't dropping children off over fences when Uncle Imbecile was in charge. Yeah, I remember that. But now it's full go. You know, they give you these shows of Epstein and the movie directors and like the Me Too shit, and it's just all covered. It's just all covered. That's why people don't like to get into Crowley and how Crowley set up all this in Hollywood. I mean, Hollywood started in the early 1800s, early 1900s. People wasn't doing like Jefferson or Edison was making movies in Jersey, and he couldn't make movies in the cold. I said this last night. So everybody went to California, because you could shoot all year long. Oh, Joe Kennedy was in the movies. You can see some Joe Kennedy movies. I think he was messing around. He was fucking Gloria Swanson. And when they went in, you know, a lot of these Jewish faith people, MGM, Myers, Goodwin Myers, that's all Jewish faith. They were the ones. And Crowley set up all these initiations, all these sacrifices. The very first one was Fatty Arbuckle. He stuck that Coke bottle up a girl and killed her. That was one of the first sacrifices in Hollywood. Rudolph Valentino, he was a sacrifice for talking movies because he was the greatest actor of silent films. So they needed to sacrifice him to go into the talkies. I mean, this is how long, and he got killed in the 20s. They sacrificed him in the 20s. I think you can still tour his he lived in Beverly Hills. He was one of the first to have a crib in Beverly Hills. Hey, Alito, thank you for joining me. Has anybody else, Wendy's, been popping? They got a mean-ass spell, and the folks in ATL lanes be in the street. Wendy's? Wow, no, not like that. The one that's still, it was funny when I went by, I had to go out that way today near our local mall called the Burnsville Mall. And Chick-fil-A wasn't packed. Usually Chick-fil-A, like during last year, the lockdown, Chick-fil-A, you couldn't even drive into the complex where it was. You'd be out in the streets. It was lines around the lights and everything. And Chick-fil-A is still, and we have a lot of restaurants here. And Chick-fil-A is still the one that it's crowded almost all the time. Oh, they're closed today. That's why it was nobody there. Chick-fil-A are closed on Sundays. And I saw somebody going in line. Because when I looked over, I saw a car waiting, and I just thought about it. They're closed on Sundays. Chick-fil-A is closed on Sundays. The light go off? Oh, okay. It wasn't on. Well, damn. See my beauty. So I couldn't say. We went to Wendy's last Friday, I think. They don't have it here anymore. They know people believe in their false gods and anymore. Once you believe in yourself and stop giving power away, you can get out of here. Somewhat, yeah. Thoughts on NASA? Nazis. It's been Nazis from the very beginning. Fake from the very beginning. You notice when they say the Hubble done found some shit, they don't show you the picture. They show you an artist rendition of it. You notice that? It's like supposed to be some shit the Hubble took pictures of, but then they'll put under it artist rendition. So none of that shit's real. It was a money grab. It was a money grab. Why would you stick a bottle when you, it was a sacrifice. You can look up Fatty Arbuckle. Because I want to say Fatty Arbuckle was also in the early art gangs. I could be wrong, but he was one of the first stars out there. Yeah. Have you heard about the 22 mummies that were taken out of the pyramid? Yeah, I think those are the ones they did they did the ride and they showed it on national TV over there. Yeah, yeah, Ryan, I think I did. But maybe add if it's any more to add. Never a straight answer. There you go. So, as a belief construct for humans to believe we have to build something to get out of here, and we have to unite the humans, we can get out of here. Oh, we don't need help. Yeah, definitely, definitely. Well, it's the other part of it is the me or the my. That's what NASA, NASA's part of the me or the my. I'm sure the me or the my work with them Nazis too. They work with both sides. But the me or the my really probably, because think about how the me or the my started with radio with Tesla, and then it went to the telephones. And so the me or the my was feeding Hitler and them a little different than what was getting fed over here. Because that's when the Russians went in. That's why the Americans let the Russians go into Berlin. What do you think the Americans was doing? They were snatching scientists. Do you know how many Nazis came to America? By the hundreds of thousands. When I was a child, you know who everybody was? Like the word Davenport. Everybody spoke a little bit of German. When I was like in second, third grade, I moved to Kalamazoo. Everyone was German. Everybody spoke German. And Kalamazoo was a Dutch area, but it was a lot of Germans when I was little. In junior high, it was French, German, or Spanish. You could take any one of those. And I knew people. One of my best friends was Tom. Tom was a funny white boy, funny European. And Tom's parents spoke fluent German. I'd be over there and they'd be speaking, fluent German to each other. He could speak fluent German. We was only in second grade, and he could speak fluent German in second grade. I mean, because that's all he heard. Paperclip. AYT, there's a difference between someone caring about you versus someone worrying about you. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's how they do it. They act like they care about us. All of a sudden, they like my shots. My shots is concentrics. This shit ain't, well, I'll give you another. I was taking the other shit. It starts with an H. I can't think about it. Them shots was $2,700 per shot. I did that shit for about 6 months. Didn't really do anything for me. That's concentrics. I don't really know the price of it. But that other shit, Humira was $2,700 a shot. Now all of a sudden, they giving you this shit free. Anytime the government gives you some shit free, I think the sun, moon are just black hole portholes. Well, I'll say this. Yeah, the sun. So yeah, fires the sun. That gets me on a different kind of thing. So that is a possibility when you pass. A possibility of when you pass, and this is a little bit of bomber's work. A possibility of when you pass is that you do have to, or you could go through the sun. It could take you to the central and the real sun. But this is the thing. The sun ain't up there all the time. I've showed and talked about the simulator, and that's the thing you'd have to avoid, not to go through the simulator and go through the real sun and not the simulator. That's why I hesitated with my answer, because the simulator be up there too. It ain't always the sun. I think it's closer than they tell us. Well, the simulator is definitely closer than what they tell us. Have you ever seen The Matrix Reloaded with the Ghost twins? They're Mervavian and had Neo fighting werewolves and ghosts in the Matrix. Ghosts are the big boss in the game. Yeah. I did check that out. The sun seemed dim lately. It could be just me. The sun, it'd be the simulator. Some of them days it don't be the sun, it'd be the simulator. The sun is different. The sun, even when you, that's the thing with doing catching the sun, like starting May 1st, I'm gonna get up at 6 every day or whenever the sun comes up, and I'm going to sun gaze. But that's the thing about sun gazing is you can tell the difference between the simulator and the real sun. Because I can see days where it, like you said, it appears closer. The sun never appears close. Never appears close. And just the way, like when you stare at the real sun, you see a movement, a natural movement in the sun. Like if you can stare at the real sun and it'll be cloudy, and if you gaze at it long enough, you'll see the real sun behind the clouds. If you gaze at it long enough, the clouds will almost disappear, and you can see the real sun. Simulator, you can't. When it's the simulator up there, you are blocked from seeing it. But when the real sun up there, you gaze at it. If you see a little bit of sunlight, you just gaze at it long enough. Eventually, you'll start seeing the sun through the clouds. Simulator, nah, not at all. What do you think? Let me see. The sun seemed dim, like in the movie Total Recall. What do you think the stars really are? Well, when we're looking at what they call stars, we are seeing not how they are, we're seeing how they were. And I know we follow the movements, but we're seeing something from the past. So we're not really seeing, by the time the light gets to us, we're not seeing what's really there in a way. It's like the light that is released even here. So we think we're seeing this, but what you're seeing is something from the past. So even though it appears like over you, the light we're actually seeing is old light that is the stars. So it's hard to say, it's hard to say what, knowing that information, it's hard to say what are we really seeing. It would be easy to fake that. But I'll say this, there's books that you can study that's been charted for a long time, and you can expect and follow this wheel that goes on, because all of it goes on the same way. All of it's moving the same way. Like my east is here. Sun comes up and everything moves this way, and it goes down that way. Comes up here and goes down to my west. All the planets follow this same kind of thing. I've got a tracker on here, and the tracker, the stars and planet tracker follows the same way. You can go a circle go here, and you can see where everything is. And they tell you that, like, it's dark in my west, it's dark now, and they want to tell you that the sun is so far from our west right now that we can't see it. And that our planet, but yet we know we're not in a very big planet. Our planet is not the biggest. And so you would think we could see the sun all the time. You would think it'd be light all the time, but it's not. The inner dome is big ass green screen. Start early mornings or late at night. I would say, well, I gaze when it comes up, and I'm going to gaze when it goes down. But I say starting in May, we're going to be into them 15-hour days of sunlight, 13 to 15-hour days of sunlight. And so it's going to come up around 5:36 here, and it's going to go down to like 8, 9 o'clock. And so I try to catch it right when it's going down. And if you gaze when it's going down, it makes you think, like try to gaze at it or just close your eyes and follow it. It ain't moving that fast. It really, like, you could gaze, like, and that's another thing, is the sun is like becoming right on top. Like before, it'd always be on an angle, but now it's like right on top, straight up. Where before, the same time, it'd be more of an angle, but now it's like straight up. But this is my point. Like, even watching it come up, you could sit there for a minute. It ain't really moving too fast. You can be out there and it ain't move much. But when you see it go down, if you sun gaze and watch it go down, that fucker like's running from you. You can really see the quick movement of the sun getting the fuck out of here. It doesn't do that the rest of the day. You can sit there and watch it from 11 to 12, and it hardly moves at all. Because I've charted this shit. But when that motherfucker goes down, that shit is running away. You catch that when it goes down, it is like, you seeing it going through, it is literally like my hand is going. You are watching, and this motherfucker is just moving that quickly as you watching it when it go down. I don't know how to explain that. But I've charted that shit, and it goes down fast. So if it says sunset at 9:30, that shit it runs. The sun will run down at 9:30. Truman Show. If Crowley is wicked, Is there any point in reading his work? I didn't say. What I said is the system he put in was wicked. I didn't necessarily say he was wicked. He put in a system of self-sacrifice and ritual. Yeah, shit was wicked. Yeah. But discernment is why you want to read his work. Is discernment. Because what happened is when they rejected him, the motherfucker went crazy because they kicked him out of all the circles, and that shit made him go crazy. And so after he saw them using his shit and they quit fucking with him, his writing even turned different. And so discernment, because to see how they did this shit, that's why it's worth reading Crowley, to see how it was done. And you still can follow what he put in motion is still in motion. So discernment, that's all. And yeah, some of the shit he did was wicked, but some of the shit he, like, after he saw they rejected him, he was like, hey, these motherfuckers using my shit and this is what they doing. So it's crazy. Look up Falling Stars on YouTube. It's big, mysterious metal balls. You can see that video. It was on Boo with the sun in the other morning, bright as fuck. They trying to cause accidents. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's like, even here, you have to drive in the east. You have to wear shades because you're fighting something really intense coming from the east. When the sun in the other morning, they trying to cause that. Why is it then? Why is that then? I don't know. Soap. Why that is? I don't know. It's just that's how the thing goes. The shit was wicked. Any book recommendations for spiritual mind blowing type books? This one book is really. I've showed this before. But this one here is worth the read. And how to gain certain intelligence. And then the medicine wheel, I've been, putting this out when I meditate because I'm very much into directional energies. And this is very deep. But if you want to blow your mind, then you want to fuck with these chicks. You want your mind blown, fuck with them. Fuck with them. This will blow your mind. But you got to get the point out of it. And this is a completely, in my opinion, the stronger way to move. That's why I don't really talk about the astro. I'm trying to get people to fuck with this Tsar stuff to show them how to really move better. Because the Tsar way, to me, trumps all the others. And then what was given to me yesterday, I know it trumps the rest of this shit. And so it's above the astral plane and the ethers. It's above that. But I did want to share, I got my new crystal book. Again, this is a newer book. I think this one's from 17. And I did want to share this part with people. So like a crystal grid is pretty much you line up crystals in a certain way and you're trying to direct energies in a certain way. Again, this is this book. I got this from Half Price Books. I paid $8 for it. I have another book by her. I'm too lazy to look it up, but I think I have another book by her. But what she shows is, and I know this is a pentagram, but what she shows is how to set up your crystals for abundance. And so what you do is you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces of citrine, and then you put a clear quartz as the generator in the middle, and then you get a yellow candle. And so the simple grid is based on the pentagram, the 5-pointed stars. It can be used for abundance of your choice. Again, it's so you need 5 pieces of cinnabar. Citrine probably going to be easier to find. A clear quartz double terminated, which is just double terminated is something like that. Just double terminated. I don't have it. My clear quartz are in another room. And a orange or yellow candle. Sit on the table. Place your crystals to the left of where you will lay with them. With focused attention, take the candle and light it, then position it to the right where the grid will be. As you light the candle, now this is. I would say this. This is a little bit of a spell. This is a spelling. This is definitely spelling. I will follow my bliss. So as you light it, you say, I will follow my bliss. As you take each crystal in your hand, hold it for a few seconds to feel its power as it flows through you in energy and desire for abundance. And as you lay it down, take the clear quartz and place it in the center of the layout and say, I am grateful and blessed. Place each of the 5 citrine crystals in the shape of a star, the order shown in the diagram if you were drawing a pentagram. As you place the first crystal, say, I accept all joys of life and know that abundance is about being enriched as well as without. As you place the second, say, I believe in myself that I can achieve my dreams of abundance. As you place the third, I will be generous with all that I have, and that means to myself too. As you place the fourth, say, I take measure in giving and receiving. As you place the fifth, say, I ask the universe to let in abundance and manifest my life. Now turn the double ternary quartz in a clockwise direction so that the ends to each crystalline turn until you have rotated a complete circle. And you say, I put my trust in the power of the universe. Focus your mind on your desires for abundance for a few seconds as you gaze at it. Now blow out the candle. That's wrong. Never blow out a candle. Only snuff a candle. Never blow it out. That's kind of disrespecting the energy. Never blow out a candle. Only snuff them. So that's wrong. Focus your mind on your desires for abundance in a few minutes and gaze at the pentagram. As you snuff out the candle, say, I will now let go of this intention. Gradually remove all the crystals one by one in the reverse order how you place them. Put them in somewhere safe. Keep them one piece with you at all times and let the process of abundance unfold. So this is kind of good for, something simple, and it's simple spells, not nothing wicked, but simple. It's still spelling. I caught that earlier, and I was like, these are spells, but hey, there's a use for spells. There's a use for spelling. Our English is nothing but spelling. Oh, they're fucking with my stream. Wow. They're fucking any book recommendations. Yeah, I appreciate it. About to Google them. Okay. Hey, Win, is it struggle trying to dispel being called and labeled a conspiracy nut on social media? Well, that's a spell too. That's a CIA spell. And it was just like during the election, everybody was saying, QAnon. And if you didn't agree with the moderates or the liberals, everything is Q. And it's like, I never studied anything that motherfucker said. I knew nothing about whoever it was. My mother thought she got a big victory. She's like, oh, I found it. This wasn't Kennedy. This was someone else. And so conspiracy theory, I throw arrows at people that say that shit to me. Now, like if they're new, then I won't. But if it's people that comment on my shit all the time, I tell them, you keep saying that shit to me because that shit's a spell. That you're going to see arrows in your goddamn sleep. You're going to be wondering why that shit's chasing you. You ain't getting away. That shit be like your ass wake up and you still looking around to see where the motherfucking arrows is coming from. So I give people one time, but I mean that's the spell because they're spelling on me. I have to throw the spell back at them because that's a spell. But it's their safe word because they have nothing else they can say. When they can't understand it, it's like what Europeans do. If they can't understand the technology, they say it comes from aliens. Where angels could be aliens. Demons could be aliens. So not really. How to throw arrows at people. Well, Rocky, that takes a little bit of practice. That takes some practice, and it's a little bit of spiritual magic. I'll agree, but I learned how to do that at people that want to have that smoke. Like I told somebody before, they was fucking with Tasha. Tasha was trying to show things on twin flames and just the culture of the Americas, and a lot of people didn't like that information. I'm like, yeah, don't fuck with her. I'm not her moderator anymore because when I was a moderator on my other name, and I'm like, yeah, and they was like, well, those arrows will come back at you, and my next thing was like, yeah, okay, because when they come back at me, I'm holding a bazooka and I like to fight. The person didn't say shit. And then somebody else was like, oh, you don't have to start. I'm like, they're going to leave her alone. Tasha doesn't mean anybody any harm. She's just pointing out what they discovered in America. That America had, part of the Americas was having alternate sexual ways in some ways. They found tribes like that. So, and Tasha was just reading the history. So you got to like it or not, but don't be fucking with her. I said for PNN, the same thing. Why are you thumbing down his work? I don't agree with everything that he says, but still, why are you watching just to hate? That's what I don't get. Like, why watch somebody's stuff just to hate? I don't get that. Well, since I read the others, might as well give the divinations. My divination for the night before I forget, because I do give freely. And so we should be, what is this? So we are at 13 platoons, 0 platoons, 8 tunes, 7 Uno, and we are at 14 kin. In 14 kin, Hanukkah. One movement, one measure. But 14 kin would be, here we go. 14 kin is Ik, the saucer, the jaguar, feline energy, the night seer, attainment of magical powers, highest level of individual consciousness and development. And tomorrow, if you want to manifest, you would use the energy from the north. And that, for those of you that want the fractal, that is the fractal for Ik coming out of the north. That is the Mayan. Now, the more detailed would be coming with the Toltec. And the Toltec is Asato. This image of the card, we see the jaguar sitting on the throne as an expression in a high position in the Toltec mystical version. On the top, we see the number 14, the traditional Natal number symbols, and the head of the jaguar again. On the throne, we see a ceremony arrow representing the offering of the jaguar as a deity. The meaning of Azato comes from the nature of the jaguars perceived within the Toltec perspective. It encompasses strength, hunting, power, balance, harmony, stalking, patience, capacity for keen observation, beauty, flexibility, and magic. If you get the jaguar card, you are meant to adapt the features of this power animal to deal with the world, with your world. You will be like a hunter who watches his or her territory with all senses and alerts in quest for prey. But like the jaguar, you won't take more than what you need. Your role as a hunter will contribute to the larger scheme of balancing the elements of your world, which are all interrelated. To be able to do this, you would need something much more powerful than a physical force. You would need the magical power of the jaguar. The real power of the jaguar, its magic does not come from its physical strength, but comes from living in harmony in its own world. Its role in nature is helping to sustain the equilibrium among all the living beings in its environment. The jaguar never uses its power abuse or to take anything but what it needs. The magical power of the jaguar comes from Kamen, which is the power that arises from harmonizing opposites. In order to survive as a lonely hunter, Astal has to be in harmony with everything, including its prey. That is the strength you are being called to develop, strength that comes from being in equilibrium with everything around you. It may take you an entire lifetime to develop such power in the maximum, but this is your destiny. Now, let me see, is there any... here we go. So how sharp is my capacity for observation at this point in my life? So how can you read the crowd? I tell people all the time, you have to be able to read the crowd. Like someone asked, how do you, don't waste your time on people that will never come out of the matrix, be it your spouse, family, parents, that you can't break them out. My mother is somewhat broken out, but there's part of her that still grabs her back in. So she's really not broken out because part of it she still believes. She really just believed that she had an effort in winning the presidency. Like her little vote, her effort, her energy into that counted. She felt it was a victory for her. That's being in the matrix. But how sharp is my capacity for observation? When you're going into a meeting, when you're going to pitch something, can you read the room? Can you improve your observation? Absolutely so. Pay more attention to your surroundings. You're in an office with people. Check out everybody, how they do their thing. Watch the rhythm of how they work. You can see the rhythm. These motherfuckers will do the same thing every day. Don't you know people who are like this? I used to work in an office where a dude used to work in my lab. And he did the same thing every day. He went to pee every time at the same day. Right after lunch, he went and took a shit every time the same day. I mean, you can watch people at work. When he was lying, he would start tugging at his shirt. When he wouldn't do some shit I asked him when he's lying, he would always start fumbling with his shirt. I mean, those are tells, but what practices can I incorporate in my daily life to improve my capacity for observation? So practice. Watch the motherfuckers around you. No matter what you do, you can watch the people around you and how it works, how things work. Have I experienced heightened awareness? Yeah, that's Timothy Freak. If you watch his The Laughing Jesus, you know that you become the observer. You really do. It's like you are the director. No, no, no. You are watching a movie and everybody else is in the motherfucker. And you are just like watching these motherfuckers like they in a movie. And sometimes they act like that. Like somebody said, the Truman Show. It be times where motherfuckers be acting like they in the Truman Show. You can predict what a motherfucker will say next sometimes. I be hearing people talking and shit, and I be like, this motherfucker about to say this shit. Boom, it'll come out their mouth. In my work and in my pray, how can I apply the skills of observation and stalking to attain my goals? You see, it said both observation and stalking. So you may not be where you want to be, but you right there watching what you want until the time it comes from you to put your shit in action. That'd be like putting in a resume for a new job, pitching your idea to the company. I mean, there's a lot of ways that you can look at this. Regarding the achievement of my dream at work, what would a precise, powerful hit or movement look like for me? So what would a lick look like for you? Moving up for you. What would that look like? Write down possible strategies to treat your goals as prey. That's a good point. Not as just dreams, as actually something you going after. You go after prey. So I'm gonna read that again. Write down possible strategies to treat your goal as prey. So you really go after them. I talk about nurturing your abilities. Nurturing means you helping that shit go on. Wait for the proper time and proceed with no hesitation. Do I have the power to affect those around me? Do you have the power to affect those around you? In what way am I using my power? Power should never be abused. And if you are, you do see yourself having to abuse your power, or if you question how you're using your power. So, right, how are you using it? And what are the results of using my power in the way that I did? Did you overpower something? Did you put too much power in something that didn't need as much power? This is one. Should I make changes in the way I use my power to affect others? Sometimes you do. Knowing the crowd, reading the crowd. So say like you have meetings the first time and you use a certain thing. So you got 3 meetings and everything you're going to say is basically the same to all the people, but it's new to everybody. So when you give the first meeting, you have to look at the faces of everybody and read how they respond to what you're saying. And so by the time that second meeting comes, you kind of can reel in a little bit. You can see certain parts that people liked, and then the people you don't think like so much, you can kind of soften that or change the wording up. And then by the time you get to that third meeting, you've had 2 examples. So you really should have the shit picture perfect. You can emphasize certain words or certain pictures or however you're doing your presentation. You see, by that third time, you should understand perfectly how to show what you're trying to do and what you're trying to achieve. Yeah, so that's from me to you. Now, what did everybody write? Practicing the sacred breath helps me harness the black jaguar. There you go. Psychic abilities. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. We all do. We all, I've got a big book that shows everybody has some kind of psychic ability. Hey, Sovereign Queen, thank you for joining. Yeah, if they're part of the system, sometimes it's better to leave them there. Absolutely. That's what I learned. You can't save them. It's too late. All kind of them mothers around me. I feel you. I feel you. I feel like I'm a king around fools sometimes. The Black Panther jaguar breathing is so smooth and fluid to the point where a human and other beings cannot hear it. Interesting. Overstand actions, intentions. There you go. The power of the panther is about sense, stealth, deliberate use of the strength, speed, fluid, and graceful movement. Yeah, like I told before, of all the beings I'm able to possess, I like being an eagle and flying, but the jaguar by far was the best. I mean, again, to be able to smell everything within 100 miles is a hell of a thing. And then to put your scent and motherfuckers smell your scent around that 100 miles, they know that it's a bad motherfucker somewhere in there. As soon as they come to where your area is, that shit hits them. They're like, oh, it's a bad motherfucker around here. And then when they come, you can smell that shit 100 fucking miles away. Shit, it's no time you can't see shit. And at night, your shit it's almost like you have night perfect vision. And think about it. You can hear everything, you can smell everything, and you can see everything. Do you imagine that power? Within 100 miles of you, you can smell everything and tell the difference between a damn lion and a damn rhino, or a mouse and a bird. I mean, you could tell the difference. And then you start going on that direction that motherfucker is. And they know you're there. And they decide to come up in there. They don't know how many children you have. It might be a bunch of you might to go get them. But I found that the best kind of. The Panther energy by far was one of the funner possessions. Oh. Semen retention's has elevated my consciousness. Okay, I can feel you there. I can feel you. At times which I can hear, see, and smell objects hundreds of miles in each direction. Well, yeah, I mean, you can get in tune to it. You really can. You can get that in tune to it. That's one of the things I noticed too. Like I'm just kind of, as soon as I go out in the house, I look everywhere. It's just an old habit. Even when I go to my car, I look all around still. It's very, very rarely, but I smell too. I try to listen. I try to smell. So, and you'll pay attention. You might catch something. It's like you might be going to your car and say it's dark and stuff, and all of a sudden you smell some cologne or some shit. You're like, wait a minute, it's something here. Why am I still smelling this? It's something still around here. And you might see somebody going in their car or something, but it's like you smell them. And I've told the story before. Me and my girl was getting into it, and I got my pistols just to fuck with her because she like just really got my limit. I'm like, look, girl. And one of her friends, we had been arguing. I think I put the friend out or something. She called the police. And I told this story before. If I would not have heard the radio go off that the cop had, I would have had to kill this man because I'd have had my guns. I had my guns both drawn. I had them in my hands like this. And so as I was walking down the stairs, I just was naturally putting them up just to fuck with her. And I heard his radio. And I was moments from facing him with two guns. He would have had no choice but to draw, and I would have no choice but to kill his ass. But me hearing, I heard his radio go off. So I put the guns right there on the steps and told him to get the fuck up out of my house. Just like that. Like, what the fuck you up in here for? I ain't call you. You look at her. Anything wrong with her? You been beat up? She's like, no. Have I hit you? No. Then get the fuck up out of my house. Well, next time somebody's going to get arrested, I'm like, well, that ain't right now. Get the fuck up out of my house. He's like, well, I come here again. I'm definitely going to arrest you. Well, motherfucker, you ain't arresting me right now. Get the fuck up out of my house. And he did. He got the fuck up out of there. Officer Chang was his name. Officer Chang didn't know how quick he was about to be getting smoked. But I'm glad it didn't turn out like that. Again, I was paying attention. I didn't see red because I was mad. Just because I was mad, my senses still worked. And I just heard his radio. I was like, oh, there's a motherfucker up in here. Put the guns down, walked around the corner. Oh, yes, indeed. That's why the hammer with us. The true higher me is better than any of that energy. My truest self is more powerful than anyone knows. There you go, Jeffrey. So that's just part of it. I try to give that out too to see how you can use it. Again, if you want to manifest, like she was showing with that even grid, and I use a wheel, and the wheel is the same. The medicine wheel is very similar. It's really similar to the Tibetan Book of the Dead, kind of the way they teach that. Very similar, because to do certain operations, you have to go in certain directions because of what you want to achieve. Again, I talked about finding my cousin when he was between worlds. I didn't have any idea where he was at, so I had to go to each direction to try to find him. And it's more than one. When you go to a direction, it ain't just one floor. And no, it's like I still to this day I want to say that I found him south and at the 7th level. That's what it took me. I had to go south, and then I had to go. I don't remember if I went up 7 levels or down. I can't quite remember, but I found him. But it took all that work to try to find him because I knew he had to be in one of these middle places. But it took all that time. Then, like, boom, it's like, oh shit, here you are. But it took all that work to find him. So, I'm here crying. The police got the hell on too. I see. Oh yeah. How do you know if you are on the right path? Tune into signs. Well, that's a good question. And one thing that religious people say that kind of makes sense, and they try to take credit for this. But when you find your calling, if you take steps towards it, it'll take, like, if you take one step towards your calling, it will take more steps to you. Catholics and Christians all try to use this. Islam, they try to all use that. But when you find your calling, once you start going into it, it will start coming to you. And so, like watching TV, certain things will catch you. It's like, I'm interested in this. So as you're turning, you'll find things that will be part of your interest, be part of your path. I mean, one thing I like about apatite, this is a stone that if you get in touch with it, this will help with your path. Now, Charoite is different in the aspect is it hones in with the research you're looking for, or not even the research. It's like, okay, it's like the Charoite will help you in realizing is what you're going after. Is it important? It's like you'll be studying some shit and it'll hit you like, this ain't even important. Why am I reading this shit? It ain't helping me. It's nothing in this that's helping me. Put it down. But apatite is really good on, you meditate with something like this and a path will kind of open up. You'll see paths start opening up. And from working with this, one of the last paths opened up. I couldn't understand where this garden came from. I'm like, I see the path and I see the garden. I'm like, why is this opening up? My uncle died a couple weeks later, and the last image I had of him was taking that path. And I was like, oh, that was for him. That was for him. What the hell was that? So now without stones, you just have to find your passion. Now, your passion could be spiritual, could not be, but that's the path, is what you have a passion for. If your passion is for painting, that's your passion. So, and that's your path to be creative. Because being creative is not necessarily spiritual. It can be, doesn't necessarily have to be. And there's nothing wrong with finding your way or finding your path, and the path isn't necessarily spiritual. That's okay. It may be the research, because I'm not going to say truth or conscious. It could be that you become a researcher. And then through your researching, you find your calling. But once you find it, it will come to you. And so keep your mind open. That's the thing. Pay attention to everything. Because sometimes, like me, there's sometimes I've just caught a little bit of something. And it's like, let's just keep looking at this little bit and let's see where this little bit will go to. Like we was talking about Crowley. Again, when you read some of this stuff, you got to use discernment. You can't just, agree with everything. It's just like there's some parts in there. You might have to read this whole big book, but there's parts in there. They just be a little bit, but you're like, okay, this is what I can use. This is the point of it that I can use. So you don't have to agree with people, but it's like when you go through research, see what calls you. Ednise, thank you. Good night. Good night, Augustine. Ednise, good night. Thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it. Have a good night. Yes, thank you. That is very kind of you. You have a good night too. Running up steps to a goal is human construct, just like a goal for a great job, stuck like a slave. The goal of the path is to get out of here at all costs and not come back and be food. Well, Jeffrey, there's other paths. There's other paths. There's 1,000 different things that people can do that they love. That's it. Passion. There's a lot of different paths. So that's very vague. That's very vague, but there's a lot of different paths and a lot of different ways to love things. That's my point. And have a passion on things. I mean, you can work a job you hate, but the job could give you the means to do what you love. I'm going to say it again. You can work at a job you hate, but the job may give you the means to do things you love. So why does it look like my lights are flickering? So, keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. It's not necessarily running up steps. It's just finding your thing. Do your thing while I do my thing. Do your thing while I do my thing. I'm not counting anybody else's pockets. I am not jealous of anyone. I feel my own power and my own effect. So I don't need to look at somebody else and say, well, damn, he's got more of this. He's got more of that. I ain't never been. I've been like, hooray, motherfucker. I'm happy that you got what you got. I'm glad you got that. Like hip hop hooray for a motherfucker. That's how I be feeling, I'll be like hip hop hooray for a motherfucker. I'm happy when people do things. So that's the kind of cat I am. I am very thankful for music. Y'all, me too. Me too. My son gets mad because when I take a shower, like right now, he up and he gonna stay up until 7, 8, but then he want to sleep all day. Whenever I take my shower, I blast music. He's like, yeah, and you're playing so loud the whole building can hear it. I don't care. When I take my shower, I play music. It helps raise my vibration. And I may listen to music for 4 hours nonstop because it's helping raise my vibration. I'll clean around the house and pick up shit, and I had a music playing. It's like today, I didn't turn my television on till probably 4 or 5 o'clock. So if it was a game on before then, I get up and do other things. And then I meditated. I meditated from about 6 to 7. Yeah, about 6 to 7, I meditated. So pursue. Well, when did you realize the path you're now on was the one in purpose and dedicated to pursue? Well, I've told the story many times. I would say that goes back to just the way my mother raised me, because we are fair-skinned Black folks, Indians. My mother always felt that real black power stuff. So I pursued all the Black history shit just because that's kind of what my mother led me down. But she was always one to read all this information. I read about Che and Malcolm X probably before I was 10. So I got into these people's heads at that young age. And then when I first astro traveled, it just changed everything. It showed me that there's a different part of everything. And so despite that, I hustled and everything. And really, when I bought this book, my life really changed. And Gnosticism goes into Christianity, but it was just studying something that was out of the norm. And they tried to kill me just for like this kind of information. I was very new, when they tried to kill me, I was very new into this. And so I was studying stuff like this. And this book probably changed my life more than any book because it showed me alternative to all this other stuff. And I'm like, well, why do they keep this shit out? Like, why don't they want people to read about Yadabath Why don't they want people to read about Sophia? What are they hiding? Why don't they want people to know about the laughing Jesus? Why don't they want people to know about the Gospel of Thomas? Why did they hide all this? This is supposed to be them talking about something that y'all supposed to do. So it kind of opened my eye up and helped put me on a certain path. So, have you ever heard of a high valued man? I've heard certain things of talking about that, but what it means to you might not mean the same to me. So share. Then you know about the Demerge. Yadabath is also called the Demerge. Yes. Hey, Moray, thank you for joining me. So you have to tell me what you think a high valued man is, James. I don't have any knives on me. I got a knife. I don't. My scissors are over there. Let me grab my scissors. Let me stand up for a second. Ah. Oh, yes. I needed to stretch. Oh. Whoa. I done fell down over these chairs. Y'all be some laughing motherfuckers, boy. Like that motherfucker just fell. Ah. Oh, there we go. That's nicer. That is nicer. Plus, it feels good to stand up. What type of meditation you've been doing? Like sometimes I meditate with the medicine wheel, but how to answer that? There are some meditations I do for the ancestors. Some of the meditations is just strictly to do czar work, to go right into the czar and deal with things, time and that. Other times it's just silence and trying to see what comes up. So there's a few different ways I do it. Sometimes again, it's just to kind of see what rises, what comes in, what rises. So because today was doing a simple one and was interesting. It was interesting. A lot of stuff came in. I was like, and I only meditated about 30 minutes. So it's a really short one, but it was like very intense. And yesterday I got a big thing came in yesterday, and I'm really not going to talk about it, but it was like, And again, this is a lot of times when you meditate, if you don't take notes, you don't have specific stones, you don't recognize. That's the first thing you don't recognize what you're going by. Like my ex would just zoom through it and she's not seeing anything because she's going through it. She was so powerful that she could just zoom through it. But on the other hand, she wasn't experiencing anything. And so, that's where some stones and some techniques so you can see what you're experiencing. That's why it's best to write the shit down until you get used to what you're seeing. So a lot of times, one thing I like about meditating through music is music gives you how long. And I know some people, the words and stuff, but it's like I like to keep a certain vibration. And so, but music, like, if you do 10 songs, you've been meditating for about a half hour, roughly a half hour, a little more. Like a lot of times I'll just meditate to wind and rain. And I'll think I'm meditating for a long time, but a lot of times it'd be short meditations because I think it's for a long time. But when you do music, you can kind of gauge how long you're going. So you did 10 songs, you've been going for about a half hour. So it's not. So I don't know if that answered your question, but those are the kind. Now I'm not a big person of breathing. I got asthma, so as some people teach that you constantly taking deep breaths, I can't really do that. Like with yoga, they say it's all about the breathing. But one thing I do practice every day is I work my diaphragm. I got a big beer gut, but I do practice working my diaphragm every day. Like they say women do Kegels, but I practice, and I bring air into that. So it's like when I'm meditating for so long and then I want to go in deeper, I'll do what they call a cleansing breath. And I make sure that my diaphragm, that I take the air from here and then I slowly let it out. And then, you kind of, the you're trying to get the perfect fifth out.
And so I do that sometimes too. So, sometimes I take a couple, and it's funny about the cleansing breath. They can zoom you through. And I don't mean zooming, missing things, but I mean, it really will, like, say you are visualizing, like there's a place of where I call it home. And when I'm there, I will be like further back, but then I take the cleansing breaths and I'll be them broke through, and I'll be there, where where I call home, and I'll be right there. So, I've noticed my dreams are more vivid and weird on meditation. Somebody that makes six figures. Oh, okay. I know some weirdos make six figures. Okay. I've noticed my dreams are more vivid and weird on meditation. Why is that? That's good though. If it's vivid, that's real good, because you might be into lucid dreaming, and lucid dreaming, you have control. So that's a good thing. Now the weirdness, again, look at your hand. If your hand turns into like what Dr. Strange, when he looked at his hand, it turns into a million little hands, you're dreaming. So sometimes when you meditate, it couldn't put you in a lucid dreaming state, but you don't really want to fall asleep. You kind of want to stay up. You want to be in that lane right before sleep. Right before sleep. You don't really want to fall asleep. You really don't. Now, how do I want to say this? Sometimes I'll go in so deep that when I come out of it, I'll be like, damn, was I up? And I just really be far into it. I've had that happen the other day, because it was like, I know my head must have dropped because I was so far into it. I know either I fell back in the chair or I slumped over, but I was so far into it. When I came out of it, I was like, oh, I've been slumped. So I was that far into it. I wasn't asleep. I was just, I went so deeper that I just kind of must have slumped into the chair, because when I came out of it, I was kind of like this. I was like, okay, I was that deep into it. So Kevin Samuels, I don't even know who Kevin Samuels is, so I'm sorry. He's a simp. Okay, Moray. I don't know who that motherfucker is. I ain't never heard of him. Maybe Sly said something about that motherfucker, but I never heard of him. He ain't no motherfucker I know about. He wants you to make six figures and give it away to a woman. What? That's backwards pimping to me. That motherfucker's backwards pimping.
What's the bitch?
Exactly.
Rihanna? Mariah?
How did they try to kill
Madonna
you? Well, they tried a lot of ways to kill me. They put me in the hospital, and they were trying to kill me. That was their aim, is to try to kill me. Instead, they just put me in the hospital. So I don't really want to get into it too deep, but yeah, they tried to kill me in Michigan. And it was the people in suits that tried to kill me, not the hustlers. I never had a hustler try to kill. Well, yeah, I did. Last shootout I had, hustlers was they wasn't really trying to kill me until I put a gun to their boy head, and I should have killed him, but I meant my dreams are more vivid while fasting. Okay, while fasting. Okay, I get you more right. Well, what fasting does, and fasting even, you've cleared out a lot of toxins, and and through clearing out toxins, you've got rid of a lot of waste out of you and attachments. And so you're not feeding that stuff. It's like sugar. You can have attachment that wants sugar and stuff, but when you fast and clear all of that out of you, your body becomes more in tune. Your body becomes more in tune. Is it good?
A sandwich.
It's a sandwich. Your head is a sandwich.
Your head is a bowling ball.
So that's why fasting helps you, because you got rid of a lot of stuff that be bothering you. That Jackson dude and Samuels don't get no burn for me. It's a dude named Jackson. Okay, I don't know who he is. They're not counting morning, nor do they have women around them on their videos. Was it from bringing info from that book? I think they wanted to kill me because I would turn into what I am now. And I think they wanted to kill me to the point where I was starting instead of where I am now. I think part of it was the area that I was in was one of the worst areas I've ever lived in, as far as energy wise. It was like the dirt at that place rejected me. It was like I lived. It was literally like this. The year I was fucking with all that shit, it was literally like I was trying to climb up a damn ice hill with tennis shoes. It was like impossible. It was one of the worst energy evers I'd ever encountered, where it was just a total wickedness. I used to live. This is part of where I live. It was the dude who went by the name Nigga Charlie. Everybody called him that. You had little children running around, Nigger Charlie, Nigger Charlie. This is how twisted where I was. And when the dude introduced himself to me, he told me, hey, I was like, hey, what's happening, man? I'm Brian. He's like, oh, I'm Nigger Charlie. That's what he went by. And I remember when my ex called me, she's like, guess who died? I'm like, who died? She said, Nigger Charlie died. Well, Nigger Charlie was selling meth and probably doing meth. But so I think they were trying to stop what I turned into now. And on the other hand, it was like making me like the shit was so fucked up for me there, energy wise. It was also, I think, the guys saying, get out of here, because they protected me. They protected me. What year was your last shootout? 90. It was in the 90s. Let me see. My son was born. Must have been 94. Yeah, must have been 94. Yeah, so it's been a while. When I was still younger. Transmutation alchemy is mental and genetic art. Who called that dude that? Who called that dude that? The herbs that help one enhance the meditation are hyssop and carmel. Nice, Edward. So yeah, Rocky was 94. I'd been, a few others then, but last time I shot a dude though, because I missed him when I was shooting. I stopped him from shooting at me though, but I missed him. But damn, I think the last time I shot a person was 80, 88, 89, probably. Last time I had to shoot somebody. So I like not being in that life. Having niggas shooting me and me shooting the niggas. I like being away from that shit. Clarity you get from fasting is like, whoa, all your senses get tuned in. Yes, Sovereign Queen, exactly. Exactly. You get in tune with everything. Because you've really expelled a lot of poisons. And expelling poisons, a lot of attachments will drop off too. A lot of attachments will come off you too. So that's the good thing about it. Is you clear shit spiritually that would be hanging on you, because attachments is a motherfucker. There's a dude named Steve Gamble, and I can't find any of his work, but he was the one that hit me to attachments. And Steve Gamble had some deep ass shit. My brother sent me a copy of his shit, and but he was a big light person. We used to say a thing, I think the light that I am and the light that is all things. And I'm not sure which light, but he didn't seem like an evil dude, but he was big into the light. But he got me understanding attachments and how it jumps on all of us and how it affects us. And like when you look at a person on meth, on crack, meth and crack specifically, heroin's a little different. But you could see where, and if you talk to people on crack, after a while, they can't tell you why they still smoking. And then most people on crack will see themselves literally turning into demons. And the demon is getting high. It ain't even you getting high anymore. It is demons. I mean, people would do crack and it's shit everywhere. They're starting to see the shadows everywhere because they're lowering their vibration so low. They are dealing from the demon world. And so it ain't even you getting high. It's the demon getting high. Watch reports on fiends and how they say. They don't even know why they get high. But if you're getting high, what happens is when you would continuously get high, the demon wants to get high. And so it might not necessarily be you anymore, but you can't break away from the demon that likes that shit. Charlie's a wild name. A lot of Time Lords and Time Masters throughout the centuries drank large quantities of beer and ale. Well, they must be with me. I don't think I drink large quantities. I drink about 2 or 3 beers on the days I drink. I try not to drink 4 or 5. I just like drinking beer. I like the way it tastes. but I have to have enough discipline to know. Like my children can't ever say I like getting high. My son said he quit. Ooh, the nicotine is hit. But my son will say, like my 26, almost 26-year-old son will say he quit drinking beer because of the calories and he switched to liquor. But liquor will get you drunker. And so, yeah, you may not be taking in the calories, but you've doubled your alcohol content. And so the buzz you get from a beer, now you're getting slammed because you are drinking this harder substance. And I really don't care. My children can't tell you that last time they saw me drunk. I haven't drank drive. The last time I drank drive, you see, Brennan was born in 95. So like 97, 98 was the last time I drank and drive. That's what I was waiting for to get that burp out. But this nicotine is a hell of a feeling that I'm not used to. So proper diet, lifestyle, fasting, meditation, practice diligently the path of the sacred breath. Yeah, I mean, it's just something you have to work at. Like I'm talking, like I've had that book. My daughter's 15. I've had this book for 15 years. You know, I'm not a Christian, but you know, every now and then it's some relevant stuff. That's why I keep it right here. There's some relevant stuff. You know, just as this book. You know, I show this book, but it ain't everything in here. Again, discernment. Shit, I went through this whole book, and it was like at the end and I still can't find the part where the girl goes and possesses her in the past. But it's like that ring a bell. I was like, oh shit. And even Bomber, I don't think, picked that up. He talked about it, but he didn't pick up what she really did. So I'm like, yeah, this shit, I got it. He has been realizing that with beer and alcohol. I've been realizing that with beer and alcohol, spirits. Yeah, it's like, I don't want to get drunk. And like alcoholism is hereditary. You know, my father was alcoholic, no doubt. He drank liquor every day. Drank liquor and beer every day. And he had such a high-powered job where he had liquor in his office. His employees couldn't drink it, you know, because he ran a city. His employees couldn't drink it, but damn if he didn't drink alcohol in his office. And damn if when he went to lunch, he had drinks. But that's just, you know, executives can do that kind of shit. But I already knew that. And so I don't like the feeling of being drunk. I just don't like that feeling. Now, there's times where I'll drink 4 or 5 beers over the day. But like, I don't drink and drive at all. And if I go to my son's or something, I have 1 beer maybe if we eaten, but no more than 2 if we eaten. You know, because again, I weigh 250, 245. So, you know, it takes if I'm eating, it'll take a lot of liquor to get me drunk if I'm eating, you know. So I've been realizing that with beer. So, you know, I just don't like the drunk feeling. I don't like that feeling. I don't like to meditate after drinking alcohol. I think it lowers the vibration somewhat because the spins are opposite. It's like when I talk, and this is funny, you can tell a person that's driving that has smoked weed because we like liquor and driving go together. I've told about that. It's the same energy. It's the same energy of liquor and driving. That is why people can get drunk and make it safe because the same energy directs liquor and that directs driving. They almost go hand in hand in some ways. That is why you can plug in and you can make it home almost every time. Now, again, like last night coming home, I hit the timing perfect. We get on the highway, we see somebody pulled over. Again, that is when you want to manifest, you always want to exhaust. But that's the kind of thing. When you do your spell, so you drive and that shit goes away from you, you'll see somebody pulled over. And that's the timing. That is the exhaust you needed. That would have been you. But once you put all your magic together, it'll be somebody else. That's why I was saying about sometimes when you hit lights, be thankful you hit lights. But other times when all that shit's green, make sure you make them all because you're throwing your timing off if you don't. If you see all the motherfuckers green, you try your best to, not get a ticket, but stay up with them because you are supposed to go through that. But other times, if you catching all the lights, you're like, I see the pattern. It's telling me to slow down. I'm supposed to be here on my timing. I'm not supposed to, be without my timing. So, well, guys, it's 2.5 hours. I think you ever jump like more than once in a meditation? Like I went to another realm and in realm I meditated into another, then killed some weird monsters. It's funny. My brother called me and was like, man, I had like 3 dreams It's like I came out of one dream, went into another dream, and then when I went out to the other dream, I went into the third dream. But I know what you're saying. It's like sometime I go through the czar hallways and then I'll go into a door and the door will lead me somewhere else. Yeah. Yeah. Because it's like I'm trying to time fucking with these time ribbons through the hallways, but sometimes I go through a door and it'll throw the time. It's like there's no time ribbons. I'm going into something different. So yeah. And then it's like I've said before, I've been meditating. I see the cats, one of my cats come in, and my cat came in, and my cat turned into a human, waved at me, went into a door, and disappeared. But it waved at me. It was my cat because I saw it come in. I used to blast my cats. It would kind of startle me with shit, and I got this laser shit I can do. But I'd be able to blast them, and so they like would hesitate. But then they saw that I got used to them coming in. Because I can see when my cats meditate, I can look at them. When they're doing the Sphinx, they're meditating. When they're doing the Sphinx, now when they sleep, my cat will sleep like a person. But when they're doing the Sphinx pose, they're meditating, and I'll tune into that. So, but yeah, Sovereign, I've came into. It was like when the witch tried to get me to marry her. She got me out of my. It was like we went through this thing together. And then she got me out of my protective zone because she was like my house is pretty well protected. So she wanted to get me out. She got me out. So we was doing this thing and the goal was to marry her. And so she's like, well, you got to come over here to marry me. And so she caught part of me and part of me was about to kneel to her ass. She said, look, you'll have everything you ever want, but you got to kneel to me right now and I'll make you my king. And part of me was about to do it. My other part was like, fuck her. Let's go. Pulled me back in. And I was like, shit, she had me tricked. So that was about 3 years ago. That's why I don't fuck with the witch on Facebook anymore. I let her go. I'm like, okay. I used to kind of hate on her shit because I'm like, money ain't this, money's not spiritual. It's not a spiritual thing. And she was trying to put in spirituality instead of, it's like, okay, I won't fuck with you. You don't fuck with me. That's kind of let it. But she sent some people after me after that. And I blew them the fuck away. And after I blew her guys away, she never fucked with me after that. Oh, okay, Jay. But yeah, Sovereign, I know what you're saying. And I like that laser shit to be at a laser blast, dudes. Because I hit this one of her minions. I hit this dude with such a laser blast. He like, how God, what did they show? Like Star Wars would show where they blast somebody and they go in space, be doing like this and shit. It was like I hit one dude, he just went so far out. The other guy tried to run and I hit his ass with the blast. And like she never came after me after that. She left me the fuck alone. She was like, oh, he got some skills too. When you master the sacred breath along with the art of detachment, acceleration, realize the supreme power of non-attachment. Yeah. I dig that. Very well said. Very well said. Whew, this tobacco, I'm not used to nicotine. Nicotine is quite a weird effect. Like when I drink coffee calms me. Like I take a nap. I'll drink some coffee and want to take a nap because it calms me so much. This nicotine is a weird feeling. It gives me that really weird feeling. Because I don't like smoking them. I'll smoke them when the weather gets a little better and I'm just outside all day. But yeah, I'd rather just chew on them. But haven't done any exercises since the last one. The ancestors said I went too far, so I've been kind of hesitant. Yeah, no, I don't think I'll do one tonight. I'll let it go for another day. But one divineness is going to come on, and we're going to do a meditation, and I'll give you everybody warnings so you can put your protection up. We'll put our protection up. Because I don't want to get evasive, I don't, because it's like with even Awakened One, we would do a group meditation. I would bring everybody together, like, and I'm like, yeah, I shouldn't be doing that. But that's just how I would do it. I would pretty much bring everybody in like one room together. And I had to ask her about that. I was like, did anybody feel bothered? Because we would do it. We only would do it once a week, and we would try to help people get abundance. We were like, whatever people were going after, we would have a group meditation like that. But what I found myself doing was bringing everybody in a room. Like I would see everybody because there's only like 4 of us maybe, and I would bring everybody in a room, and I'd all sitting in the same room, And I thought I shouldn't be doing that because they didn't give me permission to do it. So I had to lay back from that. I'm like, okay, I'll just let them manifest. And you don't have to bring them together. But that's my own learning. Just because you have abilities doesn't mean you always should use them. That kind of thing. So keep that in mind. Just because you have ability, you don't always have to use them. Sometimes pull back from your spirituality, because again, you might not have permission and compliance. I have an intuition, clairvoyance, and clairaudience. I have a mirror up to the monsters and it turned them human. I put a mirror up to the monsters and it turned them human. You might have trapped the monsters too with the mirror. I don't know if did you think about that? You might have trapped them too. Because when you put that mirror in there, they might have not turned human. You might have trapped them. Well, they might have been possessed too, but you probably trapped them in the mirror too. So they could have been possessed. If you say they turned human, yeah, you probably trapped them in the mirror. That's smart though. That's smart that you recognize the mirror. And I'd like to talk to you to see what made you pull it out too. And where'd you get the mirror from? Because that's a good thing. Because I keep crystal balls. Like when you see the ancients holding the bag, you got to have a bag. I mean, like this was one thing, Numite is one thing, I keep in my bag, but that's where you want use of the elements as well. You want the elements in your bag. So if you got to throw fire, you can throw fire. If you need water, like you say, you probably had that mirror in your bag. You probably had the mirror in your bag. So that's good thinking that even if you saw it and you took it, that's very well. I would have put that shit right in my bag. It's like, so you probably trapped him too. Think about that too. And what did you do with the mirror afterward? Yeah, think about what happened to the mirror afterward. Like, can you bring that mirror back? But that's very, very, yeah, that was outstanding. I'm impressed. It's funny, Johnson Umar was like, remember he was trying to sell these and he was like, yeah, I just got shit on me. I'm getting high. In some ways you can get high with the oils, but that ain't really what they're trying to do. What the oils are for is to help you get in touch with their essence. That's the magic they're using them. When you look in the mirror, has the other side moved when you didn't? Yeah. I've had like I got my mirrors before I got my omen heads, and I would see the omen heads in the mirror, and it would be one head would come in and the other head would move and another head would come in. That's not answering your question. I know what your question is saying is, I'll say this: I have never done mirror work and not been in control. Yeah, I'll say that. I think that answers your question. I've never come across anything in the mirror that has frightened me, so or startled me. I'm still in complete control when I use the mirrors. Yeah, but I think your question is have I ever? I've never been frightened by anything in the mirrors. So, when you look in the mirror, has the other side moved when you didn't? Oh, okay. And that, yeah, like I was saying, just giving you the example of the omens coming in, it was like 3 different heads came in, and so they were moving. Where I was just, because what happens is when you do mirror work, especially with my hematite one, you see with my hematite mirror. Now I have to bring it out one again. That one is easy to get lost into because you're not looking at just a clear picture. Like my other mirrors are just all obsidian clear. But that hematite one is interesting because it is a good practice to see how, because what happens is when you, and that's why it's good to have at least a 5-inch. The smaller one's a little harder to deal with because what happens is even with a 5-inch mirror, your viewing plate becomes smaller. Just the way your eyes adjust, your viewing becomes smaller. Even on my big 8-inch plate, your viewing area becomes smaller. And so your concentration is a little different than the hematite mirror. It's a little different kind of, but I like the hematite mirror because as a practice of seeing how you dissolve. The hematite shows you how you will dissolve. Because as you're looking at yourself, But what happens is after a while, you don't even see yourself. You don't even see yourself. And the same kind of thing does happen in the obsidian mirrors too. Like a lot of times I'll start, like I have a popcorn ceiling, and a lot of times I'll start with the popcorn ceiling. And what this is the great thing about mirror work is it teaches you to trance with your eyes open. And that is a power that just meditating won't give you. But mirrors teach you how to trance. And it becomes a point where, like, even when you do so much mirror work, you can close your eyes and still see the room. I mean, the room is still there. Like you can have just your third or first eye open and you can still see this shit. Like, and it's not Matrix, like it's like your eyes, like I completely be blinded with my blindfolds and I can still see everything. It's times where I've hit that vibration where I can still see everything around me. And that's not going into it very deep. I'll email you the story, long to write. Okay, no problem, no problem. I have a hematite bracelet. Oh, very, very protective. That's why I keep this stuff here, because I didn't put up my other little protective barrier, but I keep a piece near me because that's the thing when I tell people that when you work with Shungite is very high vibrational. I mean, it will give you, if you ever want a crystal that'll give you the elevator feeling, and even though it's a grounding stone, that energy, that's why it's best to do a harmonizer or keep a type of grounding stone around you, like tourmaline, obsidian, because Shungite will give you the elevator feeling, no doubt. But sometimes it'll give you the ghosty feeling, and you're not going to accomplish anything because, again, you're not strong enough. You're ghosting yourself, so you become, you're just waving. You ain't really strong. But that's the only thing I would say about working with Shungite. It will give you a quick boof, very quick boof. But yeah, send me that, Sovereign. I'd like to hear about the story. There we go. Balance out this damn tobacco feeling. Is that similar law of attraction and visualization? Affirmations. But I'll bring that book out of all the different sensitivities we all can have. Everyone has some type of magic. Everyone does. And it's just finding what type you have. It's just so many different ones. And it just shows you how special we each are. And really, we're taught in school and these churches is to take the magic away from you. To put the magic in another direction. And that's why they want to, a lot of people see that you're spiritual as a child and they'll try to put you in religion. And they try to push you into that energy. And are based on the mental alchemy principle of vibrations. And that's the thing is, love or above. I do use the witch's saying because that's it. You really, if you keep yourself in love, then it is easier for you to move throughout the day because you'll naturally vibrate higher. And I don't mean you got to love everybody, but it's just you are love. And when you operate from being love, it's not that you won't kick a motherfucker's ass, but what I'm saying is if you keep yourself in love, your vibration will stay high. I don't know any other way to tell you. Again, I've talked to me every night about the love meter. You look at your lady and or man and they breath stink or they fart and, your love shit. If you got children, the children having problems and, your shit is like to your waist. And then you go to work and you get beat down to your ankles. So there's no love left in you. And you operate in your vibration is going down too. And so you are almost like going through your day like in sand or wearing bricks in your shoes or something. You're just not vibrating at all because you've let this all get to you, And that's something I have, I've had a very hot temper at one time, just get mad about shit, like my son thought I was going to lead into Sons because he had did some bullshit. And I was like, hey, fuck you. I'm going home. Have your mama bring you home. And he thought he was kind of stressing because he didn't get to play his video game and his brother didn't want him there. His brother had, he had got drunk the night before and he had to get up and take my son to the airport like 7, so He wanted this mug left. His lady was about to get off because she works like 14 hours a day. She's a nurse, and so he knew she was coming, so he was kind of slowing down, you know. But the way I go home, because like it's one area I don't drive in because the energy to these fuckers are so bad. And I've told the story before. These fuckers stopped me for no reason. They really stopped me for no reason, and they let me go. I had to do some magic on their ass, and they just let me go. And it's like the person with me was like, "How did you just do that?" But that's just how you got to do it sometimes. I have the harmonizers with it. What hand does the sugar go into? Okay, North. The sugar will always go into your left hand. Like the way the energy comes in is it comes in your right hand and it goes out your left hand. So if you have the soapstone will be in your right. And I know you guys are looking a little different, but you put the soapstone in your right hand, you put the Shugite in your left hand. And Shugite should always, even if you just do one, you put the Shugite in your left hand because naturally energy comes into, energy actually kind of goes like this. And so if you have both of them, and the beautiful thing about the soapstone is when you feel that Shugite rush, the soapstone will meet it. So you'll feel the elevator effect, but then you'll feel the smoothness. And that's where the soapstone is there to just balance it out. Because the soapstone, after a while, you'll feel both of them rising, and then the soapstone will meet it, so it's not too much. Because Shugite can be very, it can really lift you like that. The only other stone, like dealing with this kind of stuff, really, you really got to be grounded because this kind of stuff, if you just meditate with it, to some people it feels warm to the touch, and it'll give you, how do I want to say it? It'll give you the Kundalini warm feeling throughout your whole body when some people touch. Like you can go to a shop and see if Motorbite will give you that feeling. Like most shops, like my shop used to sell little pieces. He puts all that stuff behind the counter because I imagine people were stealing it so much because it's becoming rare. But yeah, so put the Shugite always in your left hand. Even if you just are by yourself, don't use both, but you use both. Soapstone in right. Like I use Sharite. I use Sharite in my right hand, Shugite in my left. So Shugite always in the left hand. And the beautiful thing about like Shugite, the thing also is it won't let any negative energy come at you. While you're holding them, nothing negative will get in. It'll push it out. It'll push it away from you. So if it comes in, by the time it hits your left hand, it's filtered. And so it'll dissolve it. But when you have Sharite, nothing will come in. They both have almost that same ability. Sharite will take that shit away too. So by the time it hits the left hand, there's nothing really there that Shugite has to do. Sharite will do that too. Take away negative shit from you. So, but yeah, it's so cool with harmonizers because like say you go to lunch and you just want a quick meditation. You can pull out the harmonizers as long as you're in a place by yourself and just, have a quick meditation to, put your love meter, raise your vibration. And I know a lot of people don't want to, think of vibration and love, but it's really, they kind of go together. And the longer you can stay into that love frequency, it'll keep you vibrating high. And I know life's a motherfucker, why do high vibrational people, good people attract negative energies? That's that comes from the beast. That comes from the machine. The machine will send that at you. The machine will send that to you. Machine notices. The machine notices that you vibrate high. So the machine is going to send that to you. Plus, like I was saying, this person that lives under me that's on the meth that killed her husband, she's always trying to get conversations with me and stuff. But it's like, I have to, stop. I just don't even hardly want to talk to her. Not help her son, but as far as her, I don't even really want to talk to her. And because those type of people are attracted to me. I've noticed that. They try to send these kind of bullshit people around me. And remember, energy vampires is a real thing. That's a real thing, energy vampires. There are people that look for high vibrational people so they can feed off you. And then all of a sudden you're around them and you wonder why you're tired all the time. When you leave them, you feel drained. And even having sex with these kind of people ain't always that great because, again, they are trying to feed on all your goodness. They're thinking that by draining you, some of this goodness will come to them. So That's not an uncommon thing. The beast will send, the higher you go up, the crazier the beast will send motherfuckers at you to see if they can knock you off of it. When they say knock you off a pedestal, that's a thing. That's a real thing. And the beast wants that. The beast likes when you struggle, especially if you were once spiritual. I knew a dude that was almost an imam when he was with the Nation of Islam. And then later he succumbed to addiction. And it's like, I remember his brother saying, here this dude was damn near imam, yet he fell to this addiction. It's like, I'd have never thought that about him. This man was spiritually high as it could go. He had his own mosque. But yet when crack came around, again, where he lived, they wasn't really smoking crack. They were smoking some shit they thought was crack. So I struggled with that my whole life. Not saying I'm a saint, but I've always had issues with this. Yeah, I can feel you, Moray, but that's what it is. You're attracting that because not that you're attracting it, but they're attracted to your vibration. They're attracted to your spiritualness. And they see it, and they either want to vibrate, either they want to see if you can raise them, which can you carry their weight? You got to keep that in mind too, because if you can't carry their weight, then you got to see if they can rise by themselves. Because what they'll want you to do is they want you to lift them up. Like my daughter's mother's like that. It's like both times I lifted her up, because I loved her. So I lifted her up. And both times she did the same bullshit to me. It's like the repeat of the same thing. Once she was lifted up, she felt that, she didn't really need me because she was lifted up again. And I didn't, the first time I didn't really learn. And I even went through it the second time. It was almost the same thing. Once she got lifted up, that's what she was looking for, is to be lifted out of her rut. And once I lifted her out of her rut, she didn't feel she needed me. But then as soon as we broke up, she went back into the same rut. So, but now it's just my thing to just support her the best I can. It's like, I don't want to be with her, but it's like, if I can support her to make her stronger, so she teaches my daughter, and that machine, it'll use people, friends to get you. Absolutely. It absolutely will. It almost like the Smiths would jump, or, that time is on my side, would jump from person to person. It's like if you really having a rough day, you see these Smiths, this machine just send motherfuckers at you at your vulnerable time. And it's like, recognize. The first thing is like, okay, I'm kind of weak. What can I do to raise myself back up? Recognize that, you're weak and you're vulnerable, and say, okay, what can I do to raise myself back up? And then take that minute and say, okay, let's see how the day went. What took my energy away? And just go back and say, okay, my energy was taken here, 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 and then reclaim it. Take the time and say, okay, I'm taking this energy back, because they didn't have my permission to take it. It's like, I'm reclaiming all my energy, going to bring it back to my center, and I am going to vibrate high. Now, if you keep giving it away, that's on you. But that's one way to kind of stop it, is recognize it. And then, love is a motherfucker too. Love sometimes override, So that makes a lot of sense. They say gods, people get tested. Yeah. Sometimes you get to the point where you got to walk away from the weak ones. Oh, that's absolutely true. You got to, if they want to be in the mud, sometimes you got to just walk over it. It's like, you can stay in the mud, I'm moving on. And like she said, you have to walk away. Like David Ruffin said, I got to walk away from love. You got to walk away. Know when to hold them, know when to fold them. That's, read the crowd, and it's time to move. But you, like she said before, Sovereign Queen said before, is you can't save anybody. You got to be past that stage. You can't save anybody. These motherfuckers is too deep in this shit where you can't save them. And it almost seemed like, motherfucker, you on a boat and you drowned. I'm on land. I'm throwing you a lifeline. And it's still, even if you save them from your lifeline, they're just going to bring you down. And so you see them in the mud, just like, hey, or stiff arm them down, like, no, honey, you stand in that mud. They come up and you be like, boom, you stand in that mud. Or walk over them. H inside. Do you take any vitamins or minerals? Do you think synthetic versions in comparison to natural ways of getting it? For example, vitamin D from the sun and vitamin D from a tablet. Yeah, that vitamin D, they try to kill you with that vitamin D. They really do. I was trying to get a young lady on she's really on the minerals. I take turmeric and I take niacin. Those are the minerals I take. And I get a lot of natural turmeric. And my daughter's scared of worms, and so she hates the turmeric. She'll see the shit in the fridge, and then she'll freak out when she sees it. I think I have some that no, I threw it out. I threw it out. What was bad, I threw out. But yeah, I take those. And as far as vitamin D, I got a friend that she was like, don't take any of that shit. Get it from the sun. Because man, I need to see if I put that on my Facebook page, I could bring that out in a day or two. I have to look it up. It might be pretty deep a couple months back, but yeah, don't take vitamin D. You get it enough from the sun, depending on where you live. Like up here where I live, it's the sun ain't really out that much in the winter, especially. So yeah, I would say more the natural, like fish oil. I take fish oil too. Like they wanted to put me on a statin. I was like, okay, I'll just go get the good fish oil because LDL, my LDL is low because of my great grandmother. My great grandmother and my mother's like my mother is on high blood pressure and my brother. I'm not. And I'm older than my brother, but it's just our systems are different. Well, we inherited. For some reason I inherited that. The Smiths, yeah, just call them that. Yeah, the Smiths. So yeah, H inside. Don't fuck with vitamin D, not at all. They used to put me on the green vitamin D pills. Y'all seen that shit? And I was stupid taking that shit. This is a max amount. Even my doctor's like, why is she putting you on this max amount? But and I've talked to people and it's like, yeah, that shit'll kill you. It really will kill you. So if you can avoid the synthetic vitamin D, the sun would be enough. If you need more, go out in the sun and get it. Matter of fact, the lamps, when you go under the tanning lamps, actually you can get vitamin D from that. And that's artificial, but you can still get it. So I quit taking that shit. And they wanted me to take it. I'm talking too much. Let me cut out. Cutting calories is the biggest weight loss scam. The only way I've seen truly works is fasting. I'll tell you though, one thing that I did watch a little of Dr. Valentine, and one thing I agree that he said, he was like, working out really ain't for melanated people. Melanated people really don't have to work out. It's kind of that working out army shit is for them. Something about melanin, our metabolisms will naturally work. Now, I'm not saying not be active and just be a couch person, but one of his if you can catch one of his early talks, he breaks that down pretty beautifully. How, like my great grandfather was a farmer and he was just on his legs and moving around all the time. So you see, he wasn't really an athlete, but just the way he worked kept him moving and kept him busy. And so if you do something like that, you ain't really got to work out that much. Now, walking is good. I know my brother says that puts his blood pressure down. So yeah, it's and our makeups are so different that even myself, like I've noticed, I had burned off a little of this beer gut that I have, and I haven't been walking the last few weeks and being as active, and I've noticed in the mirror that little bit that I had burned off has come back. Melanated people are already built straight out the womb. Yeah, so exactly. But fasting is beautiful. It really is beautiful. Everybody should practice that. But know you if you do practice it. Can you function? That's what you got to know. You got to know, can you function when you fast? Because towards the end of your fast, and you got, depending on what you do too, like do it where you can not have to do that much, especially when you first time you fast. Do it where you're not doing that much because you don't know how you're going to respond. You don't want to put yourself into hypoglycemia where you just start feeling weak and black it out and shit. So know yourself. Put yourself to the limit, and then if you have to get something to give you some substance, maybe some flavored water or something will give you substance enough, but know your system. Just don't do it without not knowing your system, because again, the first time you might, again, you don't want to put yourself in a hypoglycemic kind of way. So know that too. Don't just give all your strength up. When you're a deficit for a prolonged period of time, your metabolism slows down. This doesn't happen if you fast, but eating a surplus every second or third day. Yeah. Okay. Good advice. Yeah, but you're right. So some melanated people are already built straight out. So yeah, a lot of that stuff you don't even need to do. Like I was saying, the old dude that he was 112 years old and smoked 3 or 4 cigars a day. He didn't fear any. He didn't see any fear that would come to him from doing it. I look at Michael Jordan like that. He smokes 3 or 4 cigars a day. Same thing. He don't think anything can come to it, even though he sold his soul. He's definitely sold his soul. Mm. Well, I'm gonna call it a night. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate it. Whoever watches this. Tomorrow, I might do an afternoon show for the sports. So we'll see. We'll see how the day goes. I should be pretty free around 4 or 5. I should. I don't know what time my son goes to work if he works. So one of the 2 days I'll do an afternoon show for sports. I mean, I talk about everything, but we'll try to do sports. Not a lot going on in the sporting world anyway. So I might, usually these is my days off. I try to I only did 4 days because I was sick Monday, but I normally try to kind of do a little bit every day, and and the more I'll see about the shooting that just happened, and the more we go into this Floyd stuff, So thank you all for joining me, kicking it with old man late in the morning or wherever you are, kicking it. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I appreciate everybody. I've only been on this channel for 3 months, and already what took me a year before I've done in 3 months. And that's because of you guys. I appreciate it. I appreciate the interest, the people that go back and rewatch it. I appreciate that. So thank you. I appreciate everybody. Yes, Sosa. Yep, we talked about that when I started. Yep, sure did. Asian brother won. That is not by accident. He won because of all this bullshit going around. So this is the Chocolate Mountain Show. I've been your host. 8 Wind is timeless. And as you know, I always finish with Eshan's poem. So I'm not a New York rapper or a LA gangbanger. I'm just an old school Detroit crack slinger. Again, this has been the Chocolate Mountain Show. Thank you, everyone. Until we meet again.